Chapter 768. But now listening to Yi Xiaoya say that there was a flying magic weapon, this was a very good excuse. So that's how it is. I thought it was a flying magic weapon that I could also drive. Yi Xiaoya suddenly felt a little regretful after listening. That's right, Xiao Yi, tell me in detail what a flying artifact is, its uses and characteristics, its specific value and how to control it. Don't leave anything out. Xiao Chen needed to understand all this before he could disguise the flying sword as a flying artifact. Hey! You don't know? Yi Xiaoya was stunned, and then said, yes, you didn't know anything about the martial arts world before. You didn't even know martial arts. Now that your strength is high, I subconsciously thought that you knew everything. Now that I think about it, you are still the same as before. Yes. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and said, I have said that I am a paranormal, not a cultivator. Naturally, I don't know these things. In order not to attract attention, I have to know about flying magic weapons. A flying magic weapon is a kind of magic weapon that is controlled by the cultivator's mind. The cultivator who uses it must have a strong mind that can resonate with the magic weapon. Only then can they drive it. Yi Xiaoya explained, however, this kind of magic weapon was made in ancient times. Now, very few cultivators can make it, including some sects that specialize in casting weapons. They can only cast some relatively solid weapons for martial arts cultivation. They can't turn it into a magic weapon. No wonder. Xiao Chen nodded. Meteoric iron was a good material. Although it was precious, the competition was not particularly fierce. Perhaps it was also related to the fact that it couldn't be used to refine magic weapons. If it could be used to refine magic weapons, I am afraid that no matter how expensive it was, it would be crazy to fight for it. But now, there was no need to fight to the end. However, Yi Xiaoya's words made Xiao Chen very happy. Since the magic artifact was powered by a cultivator's will, no one would be able to find any problems with his flying sword. In any case, there was no way to power it. It all depended on one's talent. Xiao Chen breathed a sigh of relief. In Xiao Chen's view, this thought should be something similar to spiritual sense or spiritual force. As for the specifics, he was not a cultivator, so he could not understand it. Are we going to stay here forever? Yi Xiaoya couldn't help but ask as she looked at the rolling mountains and dense forests around them. The smiling Maitreya is still at the foot of the mountain. We can only stay here. Xiao Chen sighed. He was definitely no match for the smiling Maitreya, even if it was a sneak attack. Where is it? Why didn't I see it? How do you know? Yi Xiaoya looked down the mountain but found nothing. Don't forget that I'm an esper. Xiao Chen did not explain too much. His six senses were powerful, and he could vaguely see the figure at the foot of smiling Maitreya mountain. However, he did not know where the disciple had gone. Then let's not waste time. Let's do dual cultivation. Yi Xiaoya thought about it and suggested. Xiao Chen did not refuse, but he glanced at Yi Xiaoya lecherously. It's daytime now. Aren't you afraid that I'll peep? If the smiling Maitreya stays here all the time, we can't go down. What can we do if we look? Maybe we'll die here for the rest of our lives. Yi Xiaoya shrugged. Besides, I'm the only one here. There are no Shen Jingxian, Tang Tang, or Qing Menjing. You can only continue to look if you're tired of it. You have to look even if you throw up. Well, okay. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. What did it have to do with the eldest lady? He had not seen it. Yi Xiaoya directly took off her clothes. She was a devil cultivator. She was also flexible on the tree branches. Her movements were not affected at all. Xiao Chen also took off his clothes and began dual cultivation with Yi Xiaoya. Dual cultivation with Yi Xiaoya now was actually a one-sided improvement for Yi Xiaoya's strength. It did not benefit Xiao Chen much, because her strength was too low. The gap between her and Xiao Chen was too big unless she caught up one day. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, a few hours had passed. The disciple sent by the smiling Maitreya came back. Behind him was a group of people. Obviously, they were the helpers, the disciples of the joyful clan. "Greetings, Martial Uncle Smiling Face." The disciples hurriedly cupped their fists and greeted. "Junior Brother Smiling Face, why did you call us all here in such a hurry? What's the matter?" A tall, bearded cultivator came over and asked. He was the leader of the joyful clan in this devil sect grand meeting. He was also the senior brother of the smiling Maitreya. His nickname was Old Taoist Dianlong. "Senior brother Dianlong, come over and talk." The smiling Maitreya could hide it from these disciples, but there was no way to hide it from Old Taoist Dianlong. However, the rules of the joyful clan were very clear. That was, whoever found the magic treasure belonged to him. Even if other disciples helped, they would only be rewarded by the clan after returning, and would not get a share of the treasure. Of course, if there were many treasures and someone took the initiative to share it, then it was another matter. Therefore, the smiling Maitreya was not afraid of Old Taoist Dianlong robbing him of his treasure. Oh. Old Taoist Dianlong was slightly stunned. Then, he and the smiling Maitreya came to a nearby place where there was no one. After looking around, he said, "If you have something to say, just say it. The person who framed me at the auction has been found. He is in this mountain." The smiling Maitreya lowered his voice. "That's not right. It's just a chase after a small enemy. Do you have to mobilize so many people?" Old Taoist Dianlong was stunned and looked at the smiling Maitreya with a puzzled look. "Senior brother Dianlong, you don't know. The reason why I'm mobilizing so many people is that this kid has a flying magic treasure." The smiling Maitreya said, "Moreover, it looks very exquisite and advanced. He, a devil master level cultivator, can actually activate it. This magic treasure is not simple." "Oh. Is it true? He has such a magic treasure. Does he have any background that we can't afford to offend?" Old Taoist Dianlong was stunned and asked with some concern. "Of course not. Don't worry, senior brother. I have investigated clearly. This guy is called Xiao Qin. He is a disciple of a small family in the secular world. Although he also has a martial arts background, he is just a nominal disciple of the Devil Star sect." The smiling Maitreya said, "Such a person is nothing to be afraid of. So that's how it is. Congratulations, junior brother. You got such a good magic treasure." Old Taoist Dianlong said enviously. This kind of flying magic treasure was very rare in the sect. Even he did not have one. However, he also knew that it was useless to covet it. The sect rules were there. If they wanted to violate it, their senior brother would definitely punish them. When senior brother goes out to do something, you can lend it to senior brother. Although the smiling Maitreya also knew the sect rules, it was another matter if Old Taoist Dianlong would work hard to help. Therefore, he directly gave him some benefits. "Oh. Really?" Old Taoist Dianlong was delighted. He then nodded and said, "Don't worry. Senior brother will definitely help you to kill this enemy. Then, I will have to trouble senior brother." The smiling Maitreya was overjoyed. In his opinion, that flying magic treasure was already in his pocket. The joyful clan disciples surrounded the bottom of the mountain. There was a sentry post at a certain distance. The smiling Maitreya did not have to watch from afar like before. He was much more relaxed. However, he also knew that it was not a solution to just watch. Xiao Qin was a cultivator. He would not starve to death in the mountain. He could simply eat anything to satisfy his hunger. If he wanted to waste time with him, it would not be a problem even for 8 to 10 years. Therefore, he waited for the other joyful clan disciples to come and conduct a large-scale search of the mountain. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. Xiao Qin did not move at the bottom of the mountain. Every day, he cultivated with Yi Xiaoya. Other than his own strength not improving, he had a lot of luck with women every day, or more accurately, it should be a feast for his eyes. On this day, there was another group of people at the bottom of the mountain. This made Xiao Chen immediately alert. Even his and Yi Xiaoya's cultivation stopped. What's wrong? Yi Xiaoya felt that Xiao Chen had stopped. She opened her eyes and asked. There are some people at the bottom of the mountain again. Xiao Chen frowned. I don't know what new ideas the smiling Maitreya has. Actually, although Xiao Chen said so, he could roughly guess in his heart. Probably the smiling Maitreya could not wait any longer and wanted to bring people to search the mountain. But in this way, Xiao Chen would be in danger. With so many people, it was hard to guarantee that he would not be discovered. Although he could step on the flying sword and run, Xiao Chen was not willing to do so. Now, he had only revealed his trump card in front of the smiling Maitreya. If everyone knew about it, it would be meaningless. Moreover, with so many people here, who knew if there would be something that could counter his flying? For example, a bow and arrow. Or perhaps, they also had flying Dharma treasures. At the thought of this, Xiao Chen could not help but feel a little regretful. He thought that after he went up the mountain, he could drag it out with the smiling Maitreya. When the other party lost his patience, he would definitely leave. If he had known that this would happen, he might as well forcefully break out of the encirclement and fly out in another direction. Thinking about it, the smiling Maitreya would not be able to catch up even if he wanted to. Indeed, Xiao Chen's guess was right. He saw a sage-like man come to the smiling Maitreya's side. The smiling Maitreya was very respectful to him. Then, this man asked someone to carry something that looked like a small boat. The smiling Maitreya and Taoist Dian Long boarded it. After that, the sage-like man also boarded the small boat. Then, the small boat slowly rose into the sky. It was actually a flying Dharma treasure. Ha! The sage-like man shouted. The small boat began to fly at an extremely fast speed. It casually circled the foot of the mountain twice. When Xiao Chen saw this, he felt a chill in his heart. This speed was almost on par with his flying sword. The only advantage he had was completely gone. This made Xiao Chen secretly complain. He had missed the best opportunity to escape, but it was useless to regret it. Now, he could only think of a countermeasure. However, the only thing that made Xiao Chen feel at ease was that the small boat could not rise too high. This was different from the flying sword. Therefore, as long as Xiao Chen floated, the other party should not be able to do anything. However, Xiao Chen's body had limited yuan qi, so he could not keep floating. Therefore, this was not a good solution. The only thing he could do now was to take one step at a time. At the foot of the mountain, the smiling Maitreya sat in the eldest senior brother's flying shuttle. He was very relaxed and happy. Eldest senior brother, I didn't expect you to come personally. You even brought a flying Dharma treasure. This time, that kid Xiao Chen will not be able to escape. Chapter 769. Yes, we don't have many flying instruments in our sect. Now that you've discovered one, it's a great thing. This is a big matter for the sect. Naturally, I have to come and help. This sage-like man was the eldest senior brother of the joyful clan. In his eyes, it was no longer about personal gains and losses, but the sect's gains and losses. He was going to enter the upper echelons of the sect in the future. If he was not the sect master, he would be the deputy sect master. Therefore, as long as there were benefits for the sect, he would spare no effort. What's more, according to the sect's rules, although the magic tool belonged to the discoverer, after the discoverer passed away, the magic tool would be passed on to the disciples of the sect and could not be given to outsiders. Therefore, in general, it belonged to the sect. Thank you, eldest senior brother, for your help. Smiling Maitreya said excitedly. Yes, I'll let the joyful clan disciples start searching the mountain now. Then, we'll take the flying shuttle and patrol back and forth. Once the disciples send a message, we can rush over immediately, said the eldest senior brother. It's all up to you, eldest senior brother. Smiling Maitreya quickly responded. The eldest senior brother was a man of his word. With a few instructions, all the joyful clan disciples got into action. Very soon, a large number of disciples started to go up the mountain to search. Smiling Maitreya and old Taoist Bien Long boarded the flying shuttle with him and hovered above the mountain range. As the flying shuttle didn't fly very high, it was impossible to overlook the entire mountain range to search for people. Moreover, even if they could overlook it, without professional aerial photography equipment, they didn't have sharp sixth senses like Xiao Qin. They couldn't see the situation below clearly from such a long distance. Quickly put on your clothes. This is bad. Xiao Qin said to Yi Xiaoya anxiously. Ah. What's wrong? Yi Xiaoya was at a loss. More people are coming. They're coming up the mountain. Xiao Qin said, if I'm not wrong, it should be Smiling Maitreya who got reinforcements from the sect. Moreover, their target isn't just me, but my flying sword. That can't be. What should we do now? Fight with them or continue to run? Yi Xiaoya was a little worried when she heard it. But the sea is over there. The sea. Xiao Qin didn't know if there were any islands in the middle of the sea. If he kept flying without a place to rest, his vitality would definitely be exhausted and he would fall into the sea and die. We definitely can't stay here. Let's observe the situation first. It would be best if we can kill 1 or 2 joyous clan disciples and wear their clothes to fish in troubled waters. As they spoke, the 2 of them had already put on their clothes. However, if the enemy did not move, they would not move. Xiao Qin was still on the tree. As long as the joyful clan disciples did not discover them, there was no need for them to take the initiative to move. As Xiao Qin was deep in the mountains, the joyful clan disciples would not be able to find him for a while. Yi Xiaoya was bored to death. She leaned on Xiao Qin and said, I will sleep for a while. Wake me up when they come. And Xiao Qin nodded and looked around vigilantly. After about half a day, footsteps could be heard nearby. 3 joyful clan disciples were walking towards them. Xiao Qin was slightly shocked. However, Xiao Qin was confident that they would not discover him so easily since he was on the tree. However, when they walked closer, Xiao Qin was speechless. This was because each of the 3 disciples was holding something similar to a handheld instrument in their hands. As they walked, they kept scanning around. Biological detector. Xiao Qin was shocked. He reckoned that it was something like this. It was very likely, and it seemed to be very advanced. The detector would not give an early warning to some small flying birds and insects. It would only flash a red light. Xiao Qin was originally hoping to get lucky. However, when the 3 of them walked closer, the detector suddenly emitted a sharp beep 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 sound. Who is it? Come out. The tall disciple who was leading the group shouted and looked around vigilantly. Xiao Qin secretly thought that this thing was really advanced. Science was really different. He had already hidden his breath, but it was ineffective against scientific instruments. Now, the martial arts sect's method of finding people was also quite advanced. However, since Xiao Qin was on the tree, these disciples would not be able to find him in a short period of time. Therefore, Xiao Qin did not plan to jump down immediately. You don't want to come out? The tall disciple saw that no one responded and seemed to be embarrassed. It's fine if you don't want to come out. Junior Ba immediately released the signal to inform the elders of the sect. They will definitely be able to find him. Yes. A disciple next to him quickly responded. Damn it. Xiao Qin cursed in his heart. He had no choice but to jump down from the tree. He looked at the 3 of them vigilantly. Junior brother Ba, who had been instructed, also looked at Xiao Qin with a faint smile. It seemed like he had no intention of releasing the signal to call for help. Xiao Qin saw the greed in the eyes of these 3 people. It was as if in their eyes, he was a prey. I'm out. What do you want? I don't know you. Xiao Qin asked, pretending to be puzzled. Okay, kid, don't pretend. You are quite bold. You actually dare to provoke Martial Uncle Smiling. Aren't you afraid of being beaten to death? The tall disciple looked up and down at Xiao Qin and said, if you don't want to die, come with us three. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. He was a little confused about the attitude of these three people. I'm just a casual cultivator who came to watch the Demon Gate Grand Meeting. I don't know any martial uncle smiling. You don't know? A casual cultivator? Then what are you doing here? The tall disciple asked with a faint smile. I'm just a casual cultivator. Naturally, I'm not qualified to participate in the Demon Gate Grand Meeting. I only knew about it when I came here. Therefore, I walked around this mountain range out of boredom. I hope the two young masters won't make things difficult for me. Xiao Chen said with his fists cupped. Xiao Chen wanted to muddle through. If he could avoid conflict with these people, then he would. From the aura that these three people unintentionally released, they were not weak. 2 level 3 devil masters and 1 great perfection devil master. Even if Xiao Chen could kill them, it would not be easy to kill all 3 of them at once. Haha. Lie, continue to lie. The tall disciple sneered and said to Junior Brother Ba beside him, Junior Brother Ba, take out the portrait and let him see. Hee hee, okay. As he said, Junior Brother Ba took out a photo. There was no doubt that it was Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's face turned black. He appeared with Xiao Chen's original appearance. It was exactly the same as in the photo. This photo was also taken in Songning City. How about it? What else do you want to say? The tall disciple looked at Xiao Chen mockingly and mocked. At this moment, Xiao Chen immediately pretended to be surprised and opened his mouth wide. The reason why he pretended to be weak was that in Xiao Chen's opinion, these few people did not send a message to the sect for such a long time, nor did they force him to make a move. Instead, they were talking nonsense with him. Xiao Chen felt that there was something wrong with them and they should be plotting something. Humph. The tall disciple did not talk nonsense anymore. He snorted and said with an unfriendly expression, Kid, I might as well tell you the truth. We are disciples of the Joyful Clan. If we hand you over to Master Uncle Smiling Face, you will definitely die. Ah. Xiao Chen pretended to be shocked and said in shock, then, how can we not hand me over to Master Uncle Smiling Face? Show me the way. I don't want to die. I didn't mean to offend Master Uncle Smiling Face. This is a little difficult. The tall disciple pretended to be troubled and thought for a moment before saying, actually, it's not that there is no way. I heard that you have a Dharma treasure. How about this, you give me your Dharma treasure. If there is really no good treasure in this thing, we will let you go. By then, we will hand over the good treasure. If Master Uncle Smiling Face is happy, he might not pursue this matter anymore. I don't have any good treasure. Although Xiao Chen said so, he was sneering in his heart. So they were coveting his flying sword. These 3 disciples obviously did not know what his treasure was. Smiling Maitreya probably did not tell them either. They must have guessed it themselves, and this excuse was just to take Xiao Chen's treasure for themselves. As for handing it over, it was just a nice way of saying it. Don't King reject our kindness. The tall disciple's face darkened and said to Junior Brother Ba beside him, since he is not cooperating, we don't have to be good people. Junior Brother Ba, call for help. Yes. Junior Brother Ba took out the communication device and was ready to release it. Wait. Xiao Chen looked afraid on the surface, but in his heart, he was thinking about whether to kill all 3 of them. What? You think of a treasure? The tall disciple pinched his chin and looked greedy. Yes, I do have a Dharma treasure in my hand, but it is something I rely on to escape. I was able to escape from the smiling Maitreya because of this treasure. Xiao Chen said sincerely, if I give this thing to you, and you don't keep your word and don't let me go, then I will lose my last reliance. I won't be able to escape then. Oh. What is it? When the tall disciple heard this, the greed on his face became even stronger. If it could escape from the hands of Master Uncle Smiling Face, it was obviously not an ordinary Dharma treasure, but a real treasure. Senior brother, Do you think the thing in this kid's hand is a flying Dharma treasure? Junior brother Ba suddenly said, look at his weak appearance. It must be a flying Dharma treasure that is known as an escaped Dharma treasure. The tall disciple nodded and said, kid, you don't have to worry about this and that. Take out the treasure, otherwise we will directly rob it. If you give it to us now, we will let you live, but if you let us take action, then there is no weight to it. If we kill you, it is your bad luck. I will only give you 5 minutes to think about it. Well, if that is the case, then I can only respectfully obey. Xiao Chen sighed and patted his waist. The flying sword was unsheathed and Xiao Chen held it in his hand. What are you doing? The tall disciple was shocked and pointed at Xiao Chen. Do you want to struggle to the death with us? Chapter 770. Ah. The three young heroes misunderstood. This is my magic weapon. It is called Flying Star Sword. Xiao Chen said. Flying Star Sword? Really? Kid, are you lying to me? The tall disciple looked at Xiao Chen suspiciously. Throw it over and let us see. Oh, okay. Xiao Chen threw the flying sword over, but he did not plot against the three of them. After all, the three of them were obviously very vigilant against him. Especially after taking out the sword, the three of them were even more suspicious. It was not a good time to make a move at this time. It was very unwise. Pa! The tall disciple caught the flying sword that Xiao Chen threw. Seeing that Xiao Chen did not play any tricks, he was relieved and said, Kid, you are not lying to us? This thing is a magic weapon? Holding it in his hand, the tall disciple felt that it was just an ordinary sword. There was nothing special about it. How could it be a magic weapon? I don't have anything. Look at what else I have on me. As Xiao Chen spoke, he even opened his arms and shook them twice on the spot. Senior brother, this seems to be a handicraft sword. Junior brother Ba said. Yes. The other black-faced junior brother who had not spoken before also nodded and said, this looks like a broken sword that old men and old women use to practice in the park. Damn, kid, you dare to play with us? The tall disciple was more and more convinced by their words, especially when he saw a line of small words on the hilt that read, made by the Winter Seal Arts and Crafts Factory. He immediately flew into a rage out of embarrassment. Do you want to die? Ah. No, why would I dare to lie to you? Xiao Chen trembled and couldn't help but take 2 steps back. You think that's a trap? This is a handicraft. Do you think I don't know? The tall disciple said and raised his hand. A demonic aura emerged in his hand and he was about to beat up Xiao Chen. Junior brother Ba and the other black-faced junior brother were also very cooperative. Their figures flashed, and they had already locked onto Xiao Chen from both sides. As long as the tall disciple gave the order, they would attack Xiao Chen. Young heroes, don't be nervous. How could I dare to deceive you in such a state? Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. This is really my treasure. Really? Alright, since that's the case, why don't you give it a try and see how to use it? The tall disciple looked at Xiao Chen's cowardly look and hesitated. He thought for a moment and said, don't try to fish in troubled waters. Show me now. Yes. Xiao Chen caught the flying sword thrown by the tall disciple, then threw it on the ground and stepped on it. Humph. The tall disciple sneered. In his opinion, Xiao Chen was talking nonsense. It was impossible for him to fly. However, what surprised the three of them was that Xiao Chen was standing on the handmade flying sword and slowly rising into the air. Huh? The tall disciple was stunned and immediately shouted, Kid, hurry up and come down. Don't even think about taking the opportunity to escape. Believe it or not, if you dare to fly away, I will send out a signal. I don't want to run. I know it's not easy to run. Xiao Chen quickly came down. Is this really a treasure? The tall disciple looked at the flying star sword under Xiao Chen's feet in confusion. That's right. As you all know, my strength is not that high. If I were to bring out a magic treasure that is too eye-catching, would be targeted before I could even take it out. And now, I have disguised this magic treasure as a work of art. Even if others were to see it, they would not be interested, Xiaochen quickly explained. Damn, so it was you who disguised it. Why didn't you say so earlier? The tall disciple suddenly understood. He grabbed the flying sword under Xiaochen's feet and then the three of them gathered together to study it. Senior brother, how do I use this thing? Junior brother Ba curiously looked at the flying sword in his hand. It did not look like a good treasure. Hey, kid, how do you use it? The tall disciple asked. Don't you know? I use my mind to activate it. This thing can only be understood and not explained. I can't explain it clearly. Xiaochen said. Oh. The tall disciple nodded his head repeatedly. Naturally, he had heard of how cultivators used magic treasures. After hearing this, the three of them no longer cared about Xiaochen. The tall disciple waved his hand impatiently and said, hurry up and leave, but remember, don't tell anyone about this. Of course, even if you tell us, we won't admit it. Yes. Thank you three. Xiaochen turned around and was ready to leave. It was not that the three of them did not want to capture Xiaochen and hand him over. However, if they captured him and Martial Uncle's smiling face did not find the flying star sword, he would definitely suspect them. It was better to let him go and let others catch him. When that time came, the person who caught Xiaochen would not be able to explain himself. Even if Xiaochen were to turn the tables and falsely accuse the three of them, the sect's elders would think that the person who captured Xiaochen wanted to take the flying sword for himself and then frame his fellow sect members. Let's use our minds to activate the flying star sword. Let's see who can activate it first. The tall disciple thought for a moment and said. For the sake of fairness, although he was the senior, everyone was of the same generation. Moreover, they had discovered Xiaochen together. It was not good for him to take it for himself. Whoever can activate it first will keep it. Of course, the three of us can share it. Senior brother is wise. Junior brother Ba and junior brother Blackface nodded in agreement. As they spoke, they surrounded the flying star sword in the middle. Then, they sat cross-legged and began to use their minds to activate the flying star sword. After Xiaochen walked far away, he saw that the three of them were not paying attention to him. So, he hid behind a big tree and waited for an opportunity to make his move. After waiting for a while, Xiaochen saw that the three of them were concentrating. He immediately realized that his opportunity had come. Without hesitation, he directly activated the flying sword. The tip of the flying sword was pointed right at junior brother Blackface. Shwa! Junior brother Blackface didn't even have time to make a sound before his heart was pierced. Ah! What's going on? The tall disciple and junior brother Ba were shocked. The two of them instantly opened their eyes and quickly retreated, giving way to junior brother Blackface's corpse. Senior brother, what's going on? Junior brother Ba looked nervous. The tall disciple's face was solemn. He frowned and looked at junior brother Ba. He said with some vigilance, Little Ba, tell me the truth. Did you kill junior brother Blackface? You can already use your mind to activate the flying star sword, right? Do you want to take it for yourself? Ah! Junior brother Ba was stunned. Then, his heart trembled. He knew very well that he didn't activate the flying star sword to kill. It was impossible. And senior brother said so. Could it be that senior brother was a thief crying thief? Thinking of this, junior brother Ba was very afraid. He knelt on the ground and shouted, Senior brother, don't you know who I am? I didn't do it. If it wasn't you, then who? The tall disciple looked around. Xiaochen was long gone. It really wasn't me. Could it be that junior brother Blackface didn't control it well and accidentally did it himself? Junior brother Ba said. How is that possible? The tall disciple frowned. Suddenly, he thought of something. He picked up the biological detector in his hand and began to scan the surroundings. However, Xiao Chen was now very far away. He was already out of the biological detector's range, so the detector didn't respond. The tall disciple was puzzled. The flying sword that pierced through junior brother Blackface's body. The tall disciple was caught off guard. Shwa! The tall disciple suddenly stabbed into the tall disciple's body. You! It really is you! The tall disciple pointed at junior brother Ba, who was kneeling on the ground. His face was full of resentment and unwillingness. He slowly fell down. It's not me. Junior brother Ba was a little stunned. However, the next moment, the flying sword that pierced through the tall disciple didn't stop. It directly flew out and pierced through junior brother Ba's body. Junior brother Ba died with a grievance. He even took the blame for his death. He also didn't understand how the flying sword could fly by itself. Xiao Chen walked over from a distance. He quickly put away the flying sword. Then, he pulled out 2 sets of clothes from the 2 of them. He threw 2 fireballs to directly burn the 3 of them to ashes. Then, he called out to Yi Xiaoya, "Come down. It's all right." Oh. Yi Xiaoya had already woken up. She watched from above as Xiao Chen deceived the 3 of them. She couldn't help but find it a little funny. These 3 people are really stupid. You can't say that they are stupid. They are just greedy. We can't stay here anymore. Quickly put on clothes and find a place to hide. Xiao Chen said. Okay. Yi Xiaoya also made a prompt decision. She put on the clothes of the black-faced disciple. Although there were some bloodstains and holes, it couldn't be seen if one didn't look carefully. Xiao Chen was tall, so he put on the clothes of the tall disciple. The 2 of them quickly moved toward the depths of the mountain range. However, smiling Maitreya and the others were patrolling on the shuttle. If they were not careful, they would be discovered. It was not realistic to go down the mountain. The foot of the mountain was full of Joyous Clan's middle-level disciples who were responsible for commanding. Therefore, the 2 of them could only move toward the depths of the mountain range. Someone is coming. Calm down for a while. Xiao Chen said and transformed himself into the appearance of the tall disciple. However, he was helpless against Yi Xiaoya. He could only make her lower her head as much as possible. Sure enough, not long after, 2 people came over. However, the strength of the 2 people made Xiao Chen a little worried. One was a level 3 devil general and the other was a devil master perfection stage. With this kind of strength, it was very difficult for Xiao Chen to kill them. If they fought and caused a commotion, it would be very troublesome. Moreover, it seemed that the 2 of them were very smart. They shouldn't be greedy for his treasures. They were different from the previous 3. Did the 2 senior brothers discover anything? Xiao Chen thought about it. It was better to take the initiative to greet them. Otherwise, if they passed by without saying a word, it would be too strange. Moreover, the strength of these 2 people was much higher than the tall disciple. He was afraid that they were senior brothers. What's your name? Calling me senior brother? The level 3 martial general was stunned. Immediately, a pair of sharp eyes swept toward Xiao Chen. Ah, martial uncle. Xiao Chen was shocked. He hurriedly said with embarrassment, the distance just now was too far. I didn't see clearly. Martial uncle, do you have any clues? Chapter 771. No, you are Xiao Gaozi, right? The level 3 general looked at Xiao Chen and nodded. Yes, Uncle Master, we will go and look for him too. Xiao Chen replied. N. The level 3 general looked at Xiao Chen and suddenly shouted, wait. Uncle Master, do you have any other instructions? Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat, but he pretended to be calm and asked. You called me Uncle Master? The level 3 general asked. Xiao Chen was a little confused. Was Uncle Master wrong too? Aren't you Coiled Silk Monk's in-name disciple? Shouldn't you call me Uncle Master? The level 3 general said. Ah, because I'm not familiar with the ranks of Uncle Masters, so. Xiao Chen was shocked and quickly explained. Oh, heaven rumbling joyous clan. The level 3 general nodded. Oh. Heaven rumbling joyous clan. Although Xiao Chen didn't know what was going on, he repeated it anyway. Kid, you are courting death. Who are you? Are you Xiao Chen? The level 3 general was enraged and slapped Xiao Chen. F***CK. Xiao Chen couldn't be bothered anymore. He pulled Yi Xiaoya and started running. Now he understood that the baffling heaven-rumbling joyous clan must be a secret code. He didn't match it, so the level 3 general became suspicious. What a scam. If he had known, he would have spared one and asked about the situation. It seemed like he had done all that for nothing. However, Xiao Chen didn't know that the joyous clan was so cautious and even came up with a secret code. At that time, he thought that with so many joyous clan disciples, the elders probably didn't know what they looked like. He didn't expect to be recognized. Chase! The level 3 general shouted and said to the disciple beside him, release the signal flare and get everyone to come over. Yes. The disciple nodded and took out the signal flare, ignited it, and released it. Level 3 martial generals chased after them relentlessly. Xiao Chen had a headache. He definitely wouldn't be able to outrun this martial general level 3. However, he didn't dare to step on his flying sword and fly. This was because the smiling Maitreya was still on the flying shuttle. If he lured him over, he might really be caught. He was really afraid of wolves in front and tigers behind. Gritting his teeth, Xiao Chen saw that the disciple had already released the signal flare, thinking that the smiling Maitreya would be attracted. He could only carry Yi Xiaoya, took out the flying sword, stepped on it, and flew forward quickly. He really does have a magic treasure. The level 3 general was shocked to see Xiao Chen escape. However, given his speed, he would not be able to catch up. As expected, the signal flare attracted the attention of the old Taoist Dianlong, the smiling Maitreya, and the eldest brother. There's movement over there. Smiling Maitreya pointed in the direction of Xiao Chen and shouted. Humph, he can't escape. The eldest senior brother quickly urged the flying shuttle to fly in the direction of the signal flare. After flying for a while, the smiling Maitreya shouted. Look, they are over there. This flying magic treasure is very rare. It seems to be very small. The eldest senior brother looked at Xiao Chen, who was not far away, and was somewhat shocked. However, there was still some distance between them. For the time being, he couldn't see clearly what it was. Congratulations, smiling junior brother, you got such a high-level magic treasure. The old Taoist Dianlong said with envy. Although he already knew that it was a flying magic treasure, seeing such a small appearance was still very envious. However, with their seniority, it was impossible for them to do such a thing. They could only think about it. In the future, eldest senior brother and senior brother Dianlong can borrow it from me. We can all use it together. The smiling Maitreya smiled proudly as if the flying sword was already his. That's not necessary. I already have a flying shuttle. However, smiling face, it's good that you can lend it to the sect's senior and junior brothers. I didn't come all the way to help you in vain. The eldest senior brother nodded. Thank you, eldest senior brother. The smiling Maitreya was really grateful for the selfless spirit of the eldest senior brother. But it's a bit difficult to catch up with the other party. The eldest senior brother's face was very cold. The speed of Xiao Chen's flying magic treasure was not inferior to his flying shuttle. Thinking of this, he had to concentrate and control it with all his strength. So he said, Don't talk to me. I want to focus on the pursuit. Yes. The smiling Maitreya and the old Taoist Dianlong hurriedly said yes. Originally, Xiao Chen saw that the speed of the flying shuttle behind him was basically the same as his. In other words, it wouldn't be able to catch up with him for a while. But just as he was relieved, he saw the flying shuttle accelerate. Xiao Chen was shocked. This thing could also accelerate? However, the flying shuttle could accelerate, but Xiao Chen couldn't. The material of this flying sword was too garbage. The current speed was already the limit. Xiao Chen, they are catching up. What should we do? Yi Xiaoye was somewhat worried. Damn, why am I so unlucky recently? Xiao Chen cursed. He kept looking left and right, looking for a chance to escape. According to this method of pursuit, unless Xiao Chen flew deep into the mountains, but after crossing the mountains was the sea. Continuing to fly into the sea was tantamount to courting death. Xiao Chen's elemental qi would be exhausted and he would fall. At that time, he and Yi Xiaoye would die. But Xiao Chen didn't dare to change direction and fly in the direction of the city. Now it was broad daylight. If he was seen by a lot of people, they would call the police and call for bombers and fighter jets to be shot down as unidentified flying objects. That would be the end of him. Boy, you can't fly faster than us. If you know what's good for you, quickly stop. The smiling Maitreya saw that the eldest senior brother's forehead was densely covered with sweat in order to help him catch up with Xiao Chen. He was somewhat worried. So he couldn't help but shout, "If you stop now and hand over the magic treasure, I won't kill you." When he said not to kill, he just wanted to keep Xiao Chen alive. However, he must cripple Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen wouldn't believe him. He continued to fly forward desperately, but after flying for less than a minute, Xiao Chen couldn't hold it anymore. The speed of the pursuers was too fast. Xiao Chen had no choice but to take the risk and fly to the sea. He now hoped that there would be a foothold like an island in the sea, although this hope was somewhat slim. "Yeah, why are you flying to the sea?" Yi Xiaoye was suddenly shocked. "If he dares to chase, then come. I don't believe that he dares to waste time with me." Xiao Chen was also desperate. He didn't believe that the flying shuttle of the smiling Maitreya could fly continuously. If it couldn't, then when they saw Xiao Chen flying to the sea, they would certainly not dare to chase. However, what made Xiao Chen regretful was that he flew to the sea, but the flying shuttle was still chasing him. Little did he know that the eldest senior brother was now in a frenzy. In his eyes, there was only Xiao Chen. The scenery around him was all floating clouds. He didn't notice that below him was already a vast sea. The smiling Maitreya and the old Taoist Dian Long were surprised. They wanted to ask the eldest senior brother, but they were afraid to disturb him. There was no way they could only worry. Because of the eldest senior brother's full concentration, the distance between the two was getting closer and closer. In fact, Xiao Chen's current distance was already within the attack range of the smiling Maitreya and the old Taoist Dian Long. As long as the two of them used their full strength, they could beat Xiao Chen down. However, they didn't dare. After all, below them was the sea. If they beat Xiao Chen down, it didn't matter if Xiao Chen died, but the flying magic weapon would also sink into the sea. Although they were all top-notch Devil General expert cultivators, in front of the vast ocean, they were also powerless. It was said that in ancient times, only the masters of the sea-splitting stage could open a gap in the sea. However, this level no longer existed now. That was the strength of the legendary characters with great magical power. Smiling junior brother, even if we catch up here, it's not easy to make a move. If we try to snatch it, then when Xiao Chen falls into the sea, the magic weapon will also fall down. How can we salvage it? The old Taoist Dian Long looked at the smiling Maitreya with some difficulty. The smiling Maitreya was shocked. Yes, previously they only thought that they couldn't easily attack within the attack range. But even if they really caught up, they couldn't attack. If they really fell into the sea, let alone a person and a small flying magic weapon, even a big ship would be difficult to determine the direction and salvage it. Motherf asterisk Kerr, this kid is really cunning. The smiling Maitreya scolded. What should we do now? He must have done it on purpose. There's no need to think about it, it must be. The old Taoist Dian Long said angrily. We have to think of a way. Huh. There seems to be an island in front. The smiling Maitreya was also very worried. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He pointed to a black spot not far away and said, "That is a small island. Let's wait for Xiao Chen to arrive at the island. We will calculate the time and attack him together. Then, we will hit him on the island. Even if we can't accurately land on the island, it must be nearby. It shouldn't be difficult to find him." "That's right." The old Taoist Dianlong nodded. The two of them confirmed the plan and began to calculate the distance between Xiao Chen and the island. Finally, when they saw that it was about time, the two of them suddenly attacked Xiao Chen. Big Palm of Joy. Dragon Yang Wave. The two's moves were very strange. The smiling Maitreya's hand suddenly stretched out. A shadow of a hand enlarged in the air. Then, it shrouded the top of Xiao Chen's head and slapped down. The old Taoist Dianlong's Dragon Yang Wave was a tornado-like shockwave that spun towards Xiao Chen. One slapped down, and the other disturbed Xiao Chen's advance. He was caught in the middle of the shockwave. Just like a tornado, he would be able to smash Xiao Chen to the island below. Xiao Chen didn't think that the two of them would really dare to make a move. He was shocked. He quickly used his Yuan Qi to protect himself and Yi Xiaoya. But the other party was too strong. He didn't have time to make other countermeasures. He was slapped down and fell rapidly. "Ah!" Yi Xiaoya screamed. Fortunately, the goal of the two of them was to slap Xiao Chen down and not to kill him. Their moves were calculated. It also seriously affected the power of their attacks. Therefore, the two of them were only slightly injured. It was not fatal. All of this happened too fast. Before Xiao Chen could regain control of the flying sword, he felt a burning hot airflow coming straight up from below. Chapter 772. Xiao Chen looked down instinctively and nearly went crazy from fright. "It's AF** King Island down there. Of course, it would be fine if it was just a small island." This was a small island formed by the eruption of an undersea volcano. He and Yi Xiaoya fell right into the volcano cave in the middle of the crater. Xiao Chen could even see the rolling magma below. Xiao Chen noticed that something was wrong. Yi Xiaoya naturally noticed it too. She couldn't help but exclaim, "Xiao Chen, are we going to jump into the volcano and kill ourselves?" Gosh! Xiao Chen was a little speechless. At this time, Yi Xiaoya was still in the mood to joke. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Chen hurriedly wanted to control the flying sword. However, he was shocked to find that the flying sword was no longer under his feet. After being hit just now, he had converted the primordial qi that controlled the flying sword to protect his body. He didn't know where the flying sword went. It was too late to find it. Without a choice, Xiao Chen could only continue to use primordial qi to protect his body. "Master, let me out." Just as Xiao Chen closed his eyes and was about to use primordial qi to protect him and Yi Xiaoya, the voice of the flame of the underworld came from his mind. "Oh." Xiao Chen was stunned. He didn't have time to think about it and released the flame of the underworld. After Nethery came out, it began to spread around Xiao Chen and Yi Xiaoya. In an instant, it formed a spherical shroud that surrounded the two of them. "This is..." Yi Xiaoya was shocked. Although the two of them were surrounded by flames, they didn't feel the heat. "It's okay. We're on the same side." Xiao Chen comforted her. Then, he was also happy. If Yi Xiaoya was watching from the outside, she would be even more surprised. Around the fire of the underworld, the originally hot flames automatically moved to the side, as if they had a mind of their own and did not dare to approach, as if they were afraid of being devoured by the fire of the underworld. Surrounded by the flames of the underworld, Xiao Chen and Yi Xiaoya continued to descend. They didn't know how deep the volcano was, but for the time being, they weren't in any danger. Thinking about it, Xiao Chen also understood. The flame of the underworld was a heavenly flame. Although the magma produced by the volcano was hot, it could not be compared to the heavenly flame. Therefore, Xiao Chen and Yi Xiaoye did not feel any discomfort. One of us? Yi Xiaoye was a little surprised. You mean the fire around you? Yeah, his name is Nethery. He's my subordinate, Xiao Chen said. It's a heaven and earth unusual flame. Have you heard of it? What? You actually subdued a heavenly flame and made it your subordinate? Is that true? Yi Xiaoye's eyes widened. She looked at the blue flames around her in disbelief. Isn't the heavenly flame an existence that cannot be subdued? How many demonic cultivators want to refine the heavenly flame, but they have not succeeded? How did you do it? I already said that I am not a demonic cultivator. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. That's right. Yi Xiaoye suddenly realized. You are a superpower user. It seems that you are quite powerful. As the two were talking, they suddenly felt their bodies stop. They stepped on something. They should have reached the bottom. Master, it's okay. Just as Xiao Chen was puzzled, the voice of the flame of the underworld sounded. With this voice, Nethery, who was wrapped around Xiao Chen, also dissipated and turned into a blue flame. Hey! Where is this? Yi Xiaoye was very shocked as she looked around the environment. She and Xiao Chen were currently standing on top of a hard rock. This was a very spacious place, and this was not the most magical thing. The most magical thing was that not far above their heads, there was actually a layer of transparent partition. It was unknown whether it was water or some other special substance, and above the transparent layer was the surging magma. Although they were separated by only a few dozen meters, they did not feel the heat of the magma at all. Instead, it felt refreshing and pleasant here. This should be under the volcano. Xiao Chen was also very vigilant to look around. After discovering that there was no danger, he was slightly relieved. However, in this case, it should be impossible for him to go up from here. He did not know where the flying sword went. It probably fell into the sea instead of the magma. Otherwise, he could use the flying sword to let Nethery wrap him and Yi Xiaoye and fly up. Thinking that the smiling Maitreya and the others must still be waiting outside, so Xiao Chen was not in a hurry to go up. With the mentality of taking things as they came, he looked around. At this time, on the volcano, the big senior brother had already woken up from the chase. Because Xiao Chen had been beaten down, he also had no target. Why did you hit him? The big senior brother's tone was very strict. I think there is a small island below. Let's beat him to the island so that we can take away his flying divine tool. The smiling Maitreya said. But is that a small island? Xiao Chen fell into the crater of the volcano. The big senior brother said angrily. That is the crater of the volcano? The smiling Maitreya and the old Taoist Dian Long were dumbfounded. Nonsense, if you don't believe it, go and see for yourself. After saying that, the big senior brother urged the flying shuttle to gradually stop above the small island. Suddenly, the hot magma made the three of them begin to sweat. The big senior brother's strength was superior to the two of them, so he was one step ahead of them to feel that it was a crater. What should we do? The smiling Maitreya looked at the crater that was still emitting a red light, and was a little at a loss. If Xiao Chen fell in, can he still survive? What do you think? The big senior brother glared at him. Then isn't the flying magic treasure? The old Taoist Dian Long looked at the empty crater around and said weakly. He also fell in. The big senior brother snorted coldly. You two really can't do anything right, but only spoil things. After chasing for so long in vain, in the end, it was all for naught. Then what should we do now? The smiling Maitreya asked with some regret. What else can we do? Go back. Otherwise, do you still want to jump down to find him? The big senior brother said angrily. Of course not. The smiling Maitreya shivered. This was surging magma. Not to mention a demon general like him, even a cultivator of a higher level would be burnt to ashes if he fell into it. The big senior brother shook his head, and urged the flying shuttle to turn back. Under the volcano, Xiao Chen and Yi Xiaoya looked around randomly. This seemed to be some kind of ruins. On the stone wall, there were some incomprehensible symbols and words. There won't be any treasure here, right? Yi Xiaoya asked. It's hard to say. Xiao Chen frowned. If this was a ruin, then there might really be something good inside. Let's look for it. Okay, I love exploring. Yi Xiaoya was not nervous at all. She didn't think as much as Xiao Chen. And Xiao Chen also agreed. Since they were here and couldn't go up for the time being, it was better to look here. Maybe there was a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. There seems to be a door here. Yi Xiaoya suddenly pointed to the stone wall not far away and said. Xiao Chen looked in the direction she pointed and saw a vague door. It seemed to be painted on the stone wall. If he didn't look carefully, he wouldn't notice it. He walked over and pushed it, but found that it didn't move. There should be a mechanism. As Xiao Chen spoke, he started searching the surroundings. Looking around, he saw a slightly sunken square groove. Xiao Chen touched it gently and was basically certain that it was a mechanism. That's right. Xiao Chen pressed it hard, but there was no reaction. Just when Xiao Chen was puzzled, suddenly there was a rumbling sound on the stone wall. Suddenly, the stone door opened slowly, revealing a new room. Then, a rich heaven and earth spiritual qi rushed out. If he didn't guess wrong, this should be some cave ruins. Such a rich spiritual qi. Although spiritual qi didn't have much effect on ordinary cultivators, Yi Xiaoya, as a fire devil cultivator, could still feel it. Yes, let's go in and have a look. Xiao Chen said and took the lead to enter the cave. After entering, he was a little shocked. He saw that on the wall of the room, there were countless fiery red crystals inlaid. They looked similar to spiritual jade, and the aura they exuded was very similar to that of spiritual jade. However, the difference was that they exuded a hot aura. Elder Heaven Ancestor, this is? Xiao Chen couldn't help but ask. This is called fire crystal, commonly known as fire spiritual jade. It has a magical effect for cultivators with fire spiritual root. But for you, it is almost the same as ordinary spiritual jade. If you use it too much, you may even be poisoned by fire. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Oh. Cultivators are also divided into attributes? What attribute do I have? Xiao Chen hurriedly asked after listening. You and I are both cultivators without attributes. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. What? 5 attributes? That's awesome. Xiao Chen was surprised. Is it metal, wood, water, fire, and earth attributes? It's no attribute, not 5 attributes. Elder Heaven Ancestor didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It means no attribute. Pfft. Xiao Chen was stunned and then said gloomily, what does that mean? Is it very weak? Is it worse than any other attribute? Wrong, it should be stronger than any other attribute, but to say it is weak is also correct. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. What does that mean? Why is it contradictory? Xiao Chen was a little puzzled. Anyway, you can't meet other cultivators now, it's useless for you to study so much. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. This can't be explained in a short time. There are so many spiritual jades here, why don't you hurry up and cultivate? Why are you talking nonsense with me? Oh. I think that Li Xiener is a cultivator. Xiao Chen said. What is she cultivating? Her cultivation method will never catch up with you. Elder Heaven Ancestor said indifferently. Okay. Xiao Chen nodded and then said to Yi Xiaoya, Little Yi, we can't go out for the time being, but this place is full of fire spiritual qi, which is also very beneficial for your cultivation. Yes, then let's start dual cultivation. Yi Xiaoya nodded. Chapter 773. Dual cultivation is not possible for the time being. I have to practice by myself first. This is also good for me to improve my strength, Xiao Chen said. All right then. Yi Xiaoye had some hidden bitterness. Before starting his cultivation session, Xiao Chen carefully inspected the entire stone chamber. There was a stone table, a stone chair and a stone bed within the stone chamber. Judging by the state of the place, it was likely that a certain cultivator had once lived here. However, there were no magic weapons or books, which made Xiao Chen feel very regretful. He thought that he could pick up some things. However, it was impossible to say that someone had been here before. After all, the fire crystals inlaid on the wall were still there. If someone had been here, they would have taken them away and not left here. So thinking about it, it was estimated that the people here left on their own. The two of them prepared for a while, then they prepared to sit cross-legged and start practicing. To Xiao Chen's surprise, Yi Xiaoye quickly took off her clothes before practicing. She took off her clothes and sat cross-legged, trying to communicate with the fire spiritual energy. What are you doing? Why are you taking off your clothes while practicing? Xiao Chen was a little speechless. He looked up and down greedily, but because the light in the stone room was dim, it was completely relying on the light emitted by the fire crystals. Moreover, the angle where Yi Xiaoye sat, Xiao Chen couldn't see clearly at all. It was just that the more obscure it was, the more tempting it was. Xiao Chen took a deep breath and turned his head. The urgent matter was not to see Yi Xiaoye, but to seize the time to practice. Xiao Chen knew that the only thing that mattered was to improve his strength. The smiling Maitreya saw him fall into the volcano and left temporarily. When he found out that Xiao Chen was not dead, he would definitely continue to pursue. So if Xiao Chen had the strength, he didn't have to be afraid of him. I'm used to it, Yi Xiaoye said, and it's too hot here. I'm sweating all over with my clothes on. Xiao Chen nodded and said no more. He began to use the Stealing Heaven's Fortune battle art and began to crazily absorb the heaven and earth aura emitted by the fire crystal. It was too abundant. Xiao Chen sucked in a mouthful of spiritual qi. He was like a smoker who was addicted to smoking, sucking in mouthfuls of spiritual qi greedily. The spiritual energy that entered Xiao Chen's body was different from the spiritual energy from the spiritual jade. This spiritual energy was a little hot, but Xiao Chen could still endure it. Compared to the soothing impact of the spiritual energy on his meridians, that little bit of heat was negligible. After the spiritual energy circulated through his body, it gathered in his dantian and was absorbed by Xiao Chen. Time flew by. Cultivation had no sense of time. However, to Xiao Chen's surprise, although the fire-type spiritual energy here was scorching hot, it seemed to be endless. Xiao Chen didn't need to cherish it at all. Instead, he madly absorbed it. This was the first time he was able to absorb the heaven and earth aura so refreshingly since he started cultivating. At this moment, he really wanted to thank the smiling Maitreya. If he hadn't been beaten down, he wouldn't have found such a good place. Yi Xiaoye also seemed to be very satisfied. The speed of cultivation here was much faster than the outside world. The only thing that made her a little unhappy was that she couldn't dual cultivate with Xiao Chen. If she could dual cultivate with him, the speed would be more than twice as fast as it was now. The peak of the third level of Foundation Establishment Realm, the fourth level of Foundation Establishment Realm, the peak of the fourth level of Foundation Establishment Realm. Xiao Chen's strength soared all the way. He didn't know how much time had passed. It might have been a week, or it might have been a month. There was no night or day here. Xiao Chen's mobile phone had already run out of battery, so he couldn't judge the time. Phew. Xiao Chen opened his eyes and glanced at Yi Xiaoye, who was concentrating on cultivating beside him. His heart couldn't help but burn with an evil fire. He had an impulse to execute her on the spot. It must be because it was too hot. Xiao Chen took a deep breath and moved his head to the other side with difficulty. His gaze stopped on the stone bed. At this moment, Xiao Chen's strength was already at the peak of the fifth level of Foundation Establishment Realm. He didn't know why, but he suddenly wanted to stop. He also had an impulse to go to the stone bed and investigate. He didn't know where this idea came from. In any case, if he didn't take action, he definitely wouldn't be able to concentrate on cultivating. After hesitating for a moment, Xiaochen got up and walked to the edge of the stone bed. He studied it carefully. The stone bed was bare and there was nothing special about it. Moreover, the surrounding heaven and earth aura was the same as anywhere else. There was nothing special about it. Why did he have to study this bed? Xiaochen couldn't figure it out. He looked at the bed and wanted to turn around to cultivate, but he just couldn't calm his heart down. He forced himself to go back to his original position and meditate. He closed his eyes and circulated the mantra, but he still couldn't absorb the heaven and earth aura freely like before. It was as if he was tired of this matter and had to study the stone bed. Without a choice, Xiaochen stood up again. He walked to the front of the stone bed and carefully examined it. This time, Xiaochen found something different. At the edge of the stone bed, there seemed to be a small gap. Although it was very shallow, if one looked carefully, they could still see it. Xiaochen reached out to touch the gap. He used a little force, but he didn't find anything. It shouldn't have been opened by brute force. This gap didn't have anything to borrow force from. It wasn't very realistic to use his hands to forcefully open it. Unless Xiaochen smashed the stone bed, but that wouldn't be in line with his original intention. In his opinion, there should be some kind of mechanism nearby. Thinking of this, Xiaochen looked around. Sure enough, at the foot of the bed, Xiaochen saw a small groove. It was the same as the door outside. The mechanism here wasn't very difficult to find. It didn't seem to be deliberately making things difficult for people. Xiaochen pressed the groove. After a while, there was a clicking sound. A layer of stone slabs on the stone bed slowly rose. Originally, Yi Xiaoye was focused on her cultivation. Even if Xiaochen walked back and forth a few times, it didn't affect her. After all, Xiaochen's movements were very light. But now, the sound of the stone bed woke her up. She looked strangely at the slowly rising stone slabs. Just as she was about to ask what Xiaochen was doing, the next moment, Yi Xiaoye saw a red mist rushing towards Xiaochen. It directly entered Xiaochen's head. This sudden change gave her a shock. She looked at Xiaochen in panic and said, "Xiaochen, what's wrong? What are you doing?" "Ah!" Xiaochen also screamed. He also saw a red mist rushing towards him after the stone bed opened. However, he didn't have time to dodge, and the mist invaded his body. He only felt that his mind was burning, and in an instant, it went blank. Wahahaha, I've finally been reborn. Kid, thank you for providing me with a body. I'll help you take care of your woman. Gah. The voice was originally very proud, but it suddenly stopped. It was replaced by another voice. This disciple really worries me. Sigh, luckily I have some ability. Otherwise, this silly boy would have been possessed by someone else. Chapter 774. What happened to me just now? That was Xiaochen's original voice. Idiot, you were possessed. Elder Heaven Ancestor said angrily, are you stupid? Tell me, are you stupid or not? Why did you open the coffin for no reason? Do you have nothing better to do? That's a coffin? Xiaochen was startled. Nonsense, don't you see that there are still bones in there? Elder Heaven Ancestor said angrily, if I hadn't been vigilant, that bastard would have succeeded, and I would have to fight with him for the rest of my life. Xiaochen looked under the stone bed, and sure enough, there was a pile of scattered human bones. It was weathered, and he couldn't tell its age. However, there was a small rectangular box next to the bones. He didn't know what it was, but it looked like a treasure. Xiaochen was overjoyed. It seemed that he didn't open the coffin for nothing. He was about to pick it up, but then he remembered what happened just now, and he didn't dare to act rashly. Xiaochen, what happened to you just now? Why did you imitate several people's voices? Yi Xiaoye asked in confusion. Oh, it's nothing. Xiaochen shook his head, and was about to ask Elder Heaven Ancestor if he could move the box under the stone bed, when he suddenly felt something like a flame exploding in his body. Ah! Xiao Chen let out a blood-curdling scream. He felt as if all the meridians in his body were about to boil in an instant. That ball of flame started to circulate around his body. Ah, 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 ah. Xiao Chen screamed again and again. The clothes on his body were vaporized, and not even ashes were left. His entire body had turned into a scarlet-red color. It was very frightening. Xiao Chen's eyes were red, and he was running in the stone room. At this moment, his mind was not clear, and he didn't even know what he was doing. Hey, kid, don't be impulsive, don't run around. Elder Heaven Ancestor's anxious voice sounded in Xiao Chen's mind, but Xiao Chen turned a deaf ear. It wasn't that he didn't want to listen, but he couldn't hear it anymore. He had become unconscious. Elder Heaven Ancestor didn't have a choice. If this continued, Xiao Chen would die. He could only grit his teeth and decide to possess Xiao Chen again. However, to his disappointment, he had just possessed Xiao Chen's body once, and he had even helped Xiao Chen destroy the soul that came out of nowhere. Now, he no longer had the physical strength and vitality to complete a second possession. Xiao Chen, what are you doing? Yi Xiaoya saw Xiao Chen walking around in the stone room in pain. She was shocked and didn't know what to do. But seeing Xiao Chen in pain, Yi Xiaoya hesitated for a moment, and couldn't help but chase after Xiao Chen and hug him. Xiao Chen, wake up, what's wrong with you? Although Xiao Chen's body was frighteningly hot, Yi Xiaoya was a fire-type devil cultivator. This degree of heat, especially through Xiao Chen, was not enough to do anything to her. He felt like he was being hugged by a soft body, and the heat in his body seemed to be transmitted to her. Xiao Chen felt a burst of comfort, and subconsciously hugged Yi Xiaoya. Ah! Yi Xiaoya let out a moan, and her whole body was pushed to the ground by Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's actions at the moment were completely meaningless. He felt that he was very hot, and what he had to do now seemed to be able to alleviate it. You! Ah! Yi Xiaoya screamed, and her whole body trembled in pain. Xiao Chen was completely unconscious at the moment, so he didn't know what gentleness and tenderness were. Yi Xiaoya was a little upset. Why did my first time happen in this situation? She had fantasized many times before. Although she knew that the person she was going to dedicate herself to was Xiao Chen, she didn't expect it to be like this. What she imagined was that after the dual cultivation was over, they would be lying on the same bed, and then they would be aroused, and then, however, Yi Xiaoya didn't regret it. As long as it could alleviate Xiao Chen's pain, it didn't matter if she felt a little uncomfortable. Moreover, it wasn't really very uncomfortable. Gradually, Yi Xiaoya closed her eyes and began to enjoy it. This was because she found that this seemed to be able to improve her cultivation more than dual cultivation. Feeling a steady flow of fiery demonic energy into her body, Yi Xiaoya quickly circulated her energy to resolve it. What happened next seemed to be no different from dual cultivation. It was still the mutual circulation of vitality, and it was twice the result with half the effort. Yi Xiaoya even thought that if she knew it would be so fast, she would have seduced Xiao Chen earlier and let him push her. As time passed, Xiao Chen slowly became sober from a state of insanity. When he realized what he was doing, he was instantly dumbfounded. He did Yi Xiaoya just like that? He wasn't ready yet. Although he had gone through fire and water with Yi Xiaoya, Xiao Chen also knew that the two of them would develop into a relationship sooner or later. Otherwise, they would be naked together every day. If he let Yi Xiaoya be with other men, Xiao Chen wouldn't be comfortable. But wasn't it a little too fast now? And it was even in this environment. But then, he thought of something and felt something. Although it was unconscious before, the mantra had been circulating, including now. After the flame exploded in Xiao Chen's body, it turned into a mass of fiery vitality that surged throughout his body. He and Yi Xiaoya's dual cultivation led the hot part of the fiery vitality into Yi Xiaoya's body, turning it into energy for Yi Xiaoya to improve her strength. As for the original vitality, it was transformed and absorbed by Xiao Chen. He didn't know if it was because he had pushed down Yi Xiaoya, but Xiao Chen suddenly discovered that his strength had suddenly jumped from the peak of the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment stage to the peak of the 10th level of the Foundation Establishment stage. He was only one step away from the peak of the Foundation Establishment stage. Xiao Chen could be said to have stepped into the state of the half-step golden core stage. This kind of speed of leveling up suddenly scared Xiao Chen. He quickly asked the Elder Heaven Ancestor, "Elder Heaven Ancestor, am I taking the elevator to level up?" The person who wanted to take over your body, the previous owner of this stone room, was a cultivator with fire spiritual roots. He had set up a very advanced bewildering array in this room. Any fire cultivator who had reached the peak of the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment stage would unknowingly lose their minds and open the coffin on the stone bed, allowing him to take over their bodies. Elder Sky said, "Oh. But I'm not a cultivator without an attribute?" Xiao Chen was a little puzzled. A cultivator without an attribute is the best target for possession. He can create a constitution of any attribute. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, "It seems like I've become Tripitaka's flesh." Xiao Chen sighed. More or less. Before he passed away, he retained a portion of his strength and vitality, waiting for it to circulate in your body after he took over your body, completely refining your constitution into a fire attribute for his use. However, I interfered with it, causing his soul to scatter, but that strength and vitality remained in your body. Elder Heaven Ancestor explained, because you don't have his mantra, you can't refine the strength and vitality of the fire attribute. Fortunately, you brought a fire-type demonic cultivator as a friend. Then, the fire element in your fire attribute vitality was dissolved, and the vitality was absorbed by you. That's my teammate, okay? How did it become a friend in your mouth? Xiao Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Elder Heaven Ancestor, you really don't know how to respect your elders. Did I say something wrong? Then what are you doing? Elder Heaven Ancestor asked curiously. Forget it, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Xiao Chen directly ignored Elder Heaven Ancestor and continued to work with Yi Xiaoya, to improve their strength. Ah! Yi Xiaoya suddenly screamed. I'm going to faint. Lil Yi, the way you call me is really special. Why do you keep calling me? What are you screaming for? I leveled up. I've become a demonic cultivator, Xiao Chen, did you know that? Yi Xiaoya said in surprise. I'm about to become a demonic cultivator. What's so strange about that? Xiao Chen shrugged. Then hurry up and continue. Yi Xiaoya saw that Xiao Chen was not moving and immediately became anxious. I'm a little regretful now. If we did this earlier, wouldn't I have already become a demonic cultivator? You wish. It's all because of the environment here. Xiao Chen said. If we did this earlier, it would be good for me. You don't have any, and it's easy to be sucked to death by me. If that's the case, then let's not leave. Let's cultivate here until we become peerless experts before coming out. Yi Xiaoya said. There's so much spiritual energy here. If we leave, it'll be a waste. Look at those heroes in wuxia TV shows. Don't they all go to a cave and cultivate peerless martial arts before coming out? At that time, we'll be like those experts, coming out to the demon sect conference and killing everyone. You're thinking too much. First of all, after cultivating for so long, the demon sect conference has already ended. Secondly, there's not much spiritual energy here. Xiao Chen glanced at the fire crystals on the wall. He didn't know if it was because of his special consumption of spiritual energy during cultivation, or if the owner of these fire crystals had already used up a lot of energy. Anyway, many of them had already dimmed. Obviously, there wasn't much spiritual energy left. It was estimated that they could only persist for 1 or 2 more days before completely losing their original effects. Ah, okay. Yi Xiaoya also felt that she was thinking too much. But how do we get out? Hee, why don't we just fly out? Xiao Chen smiled faintly. He was already a cultivator at the peak of Foundation Establishment level 10. He could fly in the air. Of course, the flying distance couldn't be too long. Otherwise, he would still need to use a flying sword. However, even if the distance wasn't long, it was enough to rush out of the volcano. You can fly out? Yi Xiaoya's eyes widened. Isn't your flying sword gone? If it's gone, I'll just ride you and fly. Xiao Chen said. Humph, annoying. Yi Xiaoya's face turned red. Xiao Chen was still on her and hadn't gotten off. She naturally thought of something. Then hurry up and ride. Don't stay still. Hee hee. Xiao Chen's strength had increased greatly, and his mood was much better. He thought that something would happen between him and Yi Xiaoya sooner or later, so he didn't care anymore. Previously, he was afraid that Yi Xiaoya's sect or the so-called demon sect leader would come looking for trouble. After all, Yi Xiaoya was some saintess candidate. She couldn't lose her virginity. However, now that Xiao Chen couldn't kill all martial general level experts in seconds, he definitely had no problem protecting himself. Chapter 775. The two of them cultivated for a while until all the fire crystals in the stone room dimmed and no longer emitted energy. Only then did Xiao Chen get up from Yi Xiaoya's body. Hey, are you done? Yi Xiaoya looked at Xiao Chen strangely. I heard that after a man does it, isn't it only done? What do I have to do? Xiao Chen was taken aback. Just make it. Yi Xiaoya said. Oh, I'm afraid that you'll get pregnant. Besides, aren't we dual cultivating? It's not like it's just that, Xiao Chen said. Oh, but don't you feel uncomfortable? Yi Xiaoya was a little puzzled. It's nothing. Xiao Chen shook his head. He didn't just do it with Yi Xiaoya because of the desire between a man and a woman, but to release the fire poison in his body. These happened to be beneficial to Yi Xiaoya, so both of them improved their strength. However, these dim fire crystals weren't very helpful to Xiao Chen in the later stages, so Xiao Chen's strength was still stuck at the peak of the 10th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Yi Xiaoya, on the other hand, was much more powerful. She was now a 3rd-level devil master. Why don't you do it with me for a while? It's simply too good. Yi Xiaoya said reluctantly. Ah. Xiao Chen was taken aback. Don't misunderstand. I mean, it's too good to level up. Yi Xiaoya's face turned red. There's no sense of accomplishment. I won't do it anymore, Xiao Chen said. Aya, the rest is not bad, okay? Yi Xiaoya was a little embarrassed. Then let's wait. Let's go back now. Maybe we can still make it in time for the Devil Gate conference. Xiao Chen said and began to put on his clothes. Oh. Yi Xiaoya thought of business and put on her clothes. When he was ready to leave, Xiao Chen's gaze finally fell on the rectangular box beside the white bones under the stone bed. After hesitating for a moment, Xiao Chen took it in his hand, then carried Yi Xiaoya and leaped up, releasing the Hades flame. Just like before, surrounded by the flames of the netherworld, the two of them rose rapidly, completely unaffected by the lava. By the way, what if the smiling Maitreya hasn't left yet? Yi Xiaoya was suddenly worried. Then beat him to death, Xiao Chen said calmly. There was an indescribable confidence in his words. You can beat him now? Yi Xiaoya was surprised. Even if I can't win, I won't suffer a loss, Xiao Chen said calmly. Great. Yi Xiaoya was overjoyed when she heard that. Then you can compete for the demon sect leader. At that time, I'll be your wife. All right. Xiao Chen thought about it and it seemed that it was really possible. Before, he had been thinking about how to destroy the demon sect grand meeting. If he snatched the position of the demon sect leader, wouldn't it be equivalent to destroying it? At that time, the worries of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau would be solved. During the conversation, the two of them had already flown out of the crater, but there was no one outside. The smiling Maitreya probably estimated that Xiao Chen and Yi Xiaoya had already been burned to death, so he didn't continue to wait. Standing near the volcano, the first thing Xiao Chen had to do was to find the flying sword. Otherwise, he couldn't fly back so far. He hoped that the smiling Maitreya wouldn't find it and take it away. Otherwise, Xiaochen wouldn't have the materials to refine another one. Closing his eyes and sensing the surroundings, Xiaochen waved his hand, and the flying sword rose from the sea. It turned out that it fell into the sea, but only the owner, Xiaochen, could find it. Yi Xiaoye was surprised. She followed Xiaochen on the flying sword and flew in the direction of Wutan town. Xiaochen, you are so powerful. Can you teach me to learn special abilities? Yi Xiaoye said enviously. This shouldn't be possible. Xiaochen shook his head. Cultivation was not something that everyone could do. Furthermore, the amount of resources he expended alone was already very shocking. Unless he had a fortuitous encounter in the future, it would be very troublesome to bring along another person to cultivate. Forget it. I'm just curious. Can our baby become a special ability user in the future? Asked Yi Xiaoye. It should be possible. Xiaochen didn't expect Yi Xiaoye to think so far ahead. She connected it to the baby, but at that time, he should already be a very advanced cultivator. It shouldn't be a problem to cultivate with another person. That's good. Yi Xiaoye nodded happily. Although his strength had improved, Xiaochen's flying speed was still not very fast due to the limitations of the flying sword's material. It was just a little faster than before. About half an hour later, Xiaochen returned to the previous mountain range. There were no more joyful clan disciples at the foot of the mountain, and it was peaceful again. After flying for a distance, he landed on land with Yi Xiaoye. Wutan town was not far ahead. Xiaochen didn't want others to see that he could fly. Currently, only the smiling Maitreya knew about it. He probably wouldn't say it out loud. Who are you? The demon sect grand meeting is being held. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to enter. Just as the two of them walked into the town, they were stopped at the door. These were two cultivators at the great perfection of the Demon Master level 10. The aura on their bodies was completely exposed. We are here to participate in the demon sect grand meeting. Xiaochen said, we are disciples of the Devil Star sect. Oh. The grand meeting has already begun. If you are here to participate, you should know about it, right? The gatekeeper looked at Xiaochen and Yi Xiaoye and said, are you here to fish in troubled waters? How is that possible? We are really disciples of the Devil Star sect. As Yi Xiaoye said that, she took out her Devil Star sect token and said, take a look if you don't believe me. So what if you have a token? That only proves that you are from the Devil Star sect. It doesn't prove that you are a participant. The gatekeeper said, all right, those who are here to watch the fun don't have to come. Why don't you just investigate our identities and names? Xiaochen said coldly. Investigate? If I investigate everyone, then I don't have to do anything else. All right, hurry up and leave. The gatekeeper waved his hand impatiently. Is that so? Xiaochen grabbed the collar of the gatekeeper and released his aura in an instant. His strength that was close to the middle stage of Devil General was completely revealed. Ah. You are a demon general. The gatekeeper turned pale with fright. Xiaochen's strength was at least at the 4th or 5th layer of Devil General. This made his complexion suddenly change. This kind of person was the backbone of each sect, and he actually used that kind of arrogant attitude to talk to him. He was simply courting death. Don't worry about what I am. Are you going to investigate? Xiaochen asked. No need to investigate. The gatekeeper said quickly. What? Xiaochen lifted him up. No, I mean there is no need to investigate. Please come in. The gatekeeper said quickly, a powerful cultivator like you will definitely not lie. Oh, let's go. Xiaochen put down the gatekeeper and swaggered into Wutan town with Yi Xiaoye. The Demon Gate conference was held in the central square of Wutan town. Yi Xiaoye brought Xiaochen directly to the square. They stood at the outermost edge and saw a person standing on the arena in the square. He was cupping his fists and smiling at everyone. Thank you for your support. Since no one else came to challenge me, then I, Ma Longting, will be disrespectful to refuse the position of the Demon Gate sect leader. This young man's age couldn't be seen. He was probably in his 30s, or maybe he took good care of himself. It's over? Xiao Chen was stunned. It seems to be a challenge. No one else challenged him, so he naturally became the final winner. Yi Xiaoya said. Looks like I'm a step too late. Where is this person from? Xiao Chen asked. He is the son of the Kuei Mountain sect leader Ma Baozhu. His name is Ma Longting, and his cultivation level is at the 4th level of the Demon General. Yi Xiaoya said, the competition this time limited the age. Only the younger generation of each sect can participate in the selection of the sect leader. To put it nicely, the future of the Demon Gate belongs to the younger generation. Among the younger generation, Ma Longting's strength is the highest. He is at the 4th level of the Demon General. Kuei Mountain Sect? Xiao Chen quivered and jumped up. He passed the crowd and flew onto the arena. He stepped on the arena and mocked, aren't some people celebrating too early? The people below haven't said that there are no more challengers, and you call yourself the Demon Gate sect leader? Who are you? Ma Longting was stunned, and a gloomy expression flashed across his face. In his opinion, the other party must have come up to slap his face on purpose. Otherwise, why didn't he come up earlier and only came up when he was about to announce the results? And from the strength that this person displayed when he jumped onto the arena, he was definitely a demon general. He didn't come with good intentions. Fiend Star Sect disciple, Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen said plainly, you can also call me Hero White Fox. Hero your head, Fiend Star Sect. Just a small sect, and you want to compete for the Demon Gate sect leader? You are overestimating yourself. Since you are not convinced, then very well, I will make you convinced. When he heard that Xiao Chen was a disciple of the Fiend Star Sect, Ma Longting was instantly relieved. He thought that the other party was a rival sect looking for trouble. He didn't expect it to be a small sect, so there was nothing to be afraid of. One had to know that although the Kuei Mountain sect was the strongest sect in the outside world, there were some demon gates whose strength was on par with the Kuei Mountain sect. Some even surpassed the Kuei Mountain sect. However, the Kuei Mountain sect had a background and backing, so it became the #1 demon gate. It was normal for other sects to be unconvinced, but he didn't expect it to be the Fiend Star sect. Isn't that Xiao Chen? Junior brother's smiling face. This guy didn't die after falling into the volcano? Daoist Dian Long said to smiling face Mithraea beside him in surprise. That's strange. This kid really didn't die. Smiling face Mithraea was also shocked. And how did his strength become a demon general? Could it be that he was hiding his strength before? In his opinion, it was simply impossible for Xiao Chen to increase his cultivation by so many levels in less than a month. Even if he had a fortuitous encounter, it was still impossible. So, the only possibility was that Xiao Chen had been concealing his strength. Or it could be said that he wasn't hiding it on purpose, but because of some special reason, his strength was suppressed, and now it was released. Chapter 776. That's good too. Since he's not dead, let's find a chance to snatch that flying Dharma treasure. Eldest senior brother said. Seeing that Xiao Chen was here, it was obvious that the flying Dharma treasure was not damaged. Otherwise, how could it have flown across the sea? Eldest senior brother is right. Smiling Mithraea was overjoyed. Qi Xiangmei looked at Xiao Chen in surprise. She did not expect him to represent the Devil Star sect to challenge. Previously, when Yi Xiaoya asked for a spot, Qi Xiangmei thought she was just there to join in the fun. She did not see Xiao Chen on the stage along the way, so Qi Xiangmei subconsciously confirmed her thoughts. In the end, Xiao Chen amazed the world with a brilliant feat at the end. She was a little worried. If Xiao Chen went up and lost, it would be embarrassing. If he won, how could he win? She knew Xiao Chen's strength. Although he displayed extraordinary strength when he jumped into the arena, she had a close relationship with Yi Xiaoya. If Xiao Chen was really that powerful, Yi Xiaoya would definitely tell her. Now, she did not. Thinking of this, Qi Xiangmei found Yi Xiaoya at the back of the crowd and walked over quickly. Master? Yi Xiaoya did not expect her master to look for her. Little Yi, Xiao Chen, how did? Qi Xiangmei's gaze suddenly sharpened. She scanned Yi Xiaoya's body and her expression changed. She asked anxiously, what happened? You lost your virginity? Ah. Master. Yi Xiaoya's face turned red. She did not expect her master to have such sharp eyes. She saw through the problem in an instant. When did this happen? Qi Xiangmei asked sternly. Who did it? This. Yi Xiaoya lowered her head. Didn't I tell you that you are a candidate for the devil sect saintess? If you lose your virginity, what if the Quishan sect uses this as an excuse to deal with the devil star sect? If you want to break it, at least wait until the matter is over. Qi Xiangmei was a little angry. Aren't you harming the sect and harming yourself? Yi Xiaoya didn't know what to say. Is it Xiao Chen? Qi Xiangmei asked with a frown. This. Yi Xiaoya didn't give a direct answer. Isn't this the same as harming Xiao Chen? Qi Xiangmei was so angry that she didn't know what to say. Did you instigate Xiao Chen to go on stage to challenge? Master, in a while, when Xiao Chen gets the position of sect master, everything will be fine. Yi Xiaoya saw that her master was about to explode at any time, so she quickly comforted her. Get the sect master? How is that possible? Qi Xiangmei was stunned. You'll know when you see it. In fact, Yi Xiaoya was also a little stunned. She didn't expect that she could get him on the stage with just a few words. Anyone can brag, but let me ask first, what are the rules? Xiao Chen asked. Rules? You don't even know the rules, and you dare to participate in the competition? Did you purposely come up here to make a fool of yourself? Ma Qingting instantly laughed when he heard this. This was the most ridiculous opponent he had ever seen. I just fell asleep. I don't want to watch the fight between these small shrimps. Hurry up and tell me the rules. Xiao Chen said indifferently. Rules, it means there are no rules. Ma Qingting sneered and said, that is to say, even if I kill you, you will die for nothing. Oh, I know. Xiao Chen suddenly attacked. Dark Flame Palm. At this moment, Xiao Chen's peak foundation establishment 10th level strength was fully displayed. Combined with his martial skill, his power was vaguely approaching the 6th or 7th level of Demon General. Boom! Just as Ma Qingting finished laughing, he was slapped off the stage by Xiao Chen and smashed into the ground, creating a deep pit. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, but luckily he didn't die. Qingting. Ma Qingting was shocked. He hurriedly ran over and hugged Ma Qingting, but he found that the bones in Ma Qingting's chest were all broken. Although it wasn't life-threatening, the injury was very serious. I'm fine. Ma Qingting spat out another mouthful of blood and fainted. Xiao Chen, you actually broke the rules and cheated. Ma Qingting pointed at Xiao Chen and shouted. Rules? Are you stupid? Or did water get into your head? Xiao Chen looked at Ma Qingting in surprise. Ma Qingting just said that the rules mean there are no rules. Didn't you hear it just now? This. Ma Qingting was speechless. These words were indeed said by Ma Qingting, and he really couldn't refute it. Alright, I'm Xiao Chen from the Demonic Star Sect. Everyone, feel free to challenge me. I'll accept your challenge. Xiao Chen stood on the stage, cupped his fists, and spoke in a carefree manner. The people below the stage looked at each other, speechless. This huge change stunned everyone present. When did such a dark horse appear in the Devil Star Sect? A magnificent reversal at the last moment. However, even if they were envious, no one dared to challenge him. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that the strength displayed by Xiao Chen's palm strike earlier was something that could only be unleashed by a demonic general of the 6th layer. Who among them had such strength? Xiao Chen saw that no one came up, so he imitated Ma Qingting and said, "Thank you for your appreciation. Since no one else wants to challenge me, then I, Xiao Chen, will accept the position of the outer pugilistic demon sect master." Ma Qingting's face darkened, but looking at his son in his arms, he definitely couldn't go up to challenge him. Moreover, his son was the strongest in the Kuei Mountain sect. If others went up, they would just be courting death. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he really couldn't make false accusations. He could only say against his will, "That's right. If no one else wants to challenge me, then I will announce that Devil Star Sect's Xiao Chen is this time's outer pugilistic demon sect master." Xiao Chen was stunned. It can't be. He got the position of demon sect master so easily. Of course, the most excited person was Qi Xiangmei. She looked at Yi Xiaoya. Was what this girl said true? Xiao Chen got the position of sect master just like that. Ahem, is there anyone else who wants to challenge me? If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Ma Qingting continued to provoke the crowd. Because no one refuted him when he spoke just now, he really didn't want the position of sect master to fall into the hands of an unknown nobody. Everyone looked at each other. You mother ***, don't you feel pain in your back when you speak? Xiao Chen was at least a level 6 demon general. Who would dare to go up and get beaten up? Ma Qingting, UF** King set a limit for participants to be over 35 years old. Wasn't your son the strongest among those under 35 years old? However, at this moment, everyone was a little gloating. When they heard about this rule, they more or less guessed that the Kuei Mountain sect wanted to give the position of sect master to Ma Qingting. In the end, Qing Yaojin came out of nowhere and shattered their dreams. Since no one objects, then it would be impolite of me to refuse. By the way, can I start choosing the demon sect saintess? Xiao Chen turned to look at Ma Qingting and asked. This can wait a little longer. Ma Qingting said with a dark face. He still wanted to bring all the beauties from other sects into his son's room, indirectly turning it into a marriage alliance with other demon sects. Then, he could control them. But now, how could he be willing to let Xiao Chen take advantage of all this? Wait your head. You're the sect master, and I'm the sect master. What you say goes, and what I say goes. Xiao Chen said angrily. This, of course, the sect master has the final say. Ma Qingting finally understood what it felt like to shoot oneself in the foot. He had set up such a demon sect master election. Now that the sect master had been chosen, if he was the first to disobey, then this event would become a joke. His Kuei Mountain sect would also become the laughing stock of the outer martial arts world. They would not be able to hold such a sect master election in the future. Now, Ma Qingting's only thought was to wait for Xiao Chen to be the sect master for this term and let his son take the position again in the next election. After thinking about it, he decided to forget about it since it was just a few women. He could only say, however, according to the rules, you can only choose one. Don't choose too many, because the demon sect master of the outer martial arts world is not for life. They are chosen once a year. You have to leave some for others, right? What? Xiao Chen looked askance at Ma Qingting. When the others heard Ma Qingting's words, they were confused. Why did the sect master be chosen once a year? It was not mentioned before. However, after thinking about it carefully, they understood that the Kuei Mountain sect was not willing to accept this. However, these people did not have a good relationship with the Devil Star sect. There was no need to offend the Kuei Mountain sect over this matter. Hence, after being surprised, no one stood up to object. This is the rules set by the Kuei Mountain sect, the leader of our demon sects event. Everyone is clear, right? Ma Qingting was impressed by his wit. He had finally found a solution. He wanted to say half a year, but that would be a little too disgusting. Hence, after thinking about it, he decided to say 1 year. Clear, I support it. The one who stood up to support was actually the smiling Mithraea of the joyful clan. He looked at Xiao Chen on the stage with a smile and a fierce look in his eyes. However, he really did not dare to confront Xiao Chen head-on at this moment. Xiao Chen was now the demon sect master, and this was led by the Kuei Mountain sect. If he tried to kill Xiao Chen on the first day of Xiao Chen's appointment, wouldn't it be equivalent to slapping the Kuei Mountain sect in the face? Although the Kuei Mountain sect would definitely be happy to see this, they would definitely hypocritically punish and denounce the joyful clan. He would not do such a strenuous and unrewarding thing. Wasn't it just 1 year? He would kill Xiao Chen a year later. Moreover, as long as the limelight was over, he could secretly find a chance to kill Xiao Chen. The Kuei Mountain sect would not know who killed him, and he believed that they would not investigate in detail. Hence, he planned to build a good relationship with the Kuei Mountain sect first. Not bad. Since everyone supports it, then it's settled. Ma Qingting made a generalization and then said to Xiao Chen, "You can choose a woman from the demon sect as your partner. Do you have a list?" Xiao Chen wanted to say Qing Menjing, but on second thought, the young mistress was not a saintess candidate at all. All he knew was Yi Xiaoya and Hong Zhu. He was not sure if Shen Jingxian was considered one. Chapter 777. As for Hong Zhu, he did not need to worry about him at all. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen said, "It's better to be familiar with this kind of thing. I've decided to choose Yi Bia from the demonic star sect." No problem. Ma Qizhu was very happy when he heard that Xiao Chen was from the demonic star sect. He was afraid that Xiao Chen would choose other powerful sections. In that case, the election next year would be very stressful. After all, the demonic star sect and the sect he was going to marry did not want Xiao Chen to step down, so they would take some measures to give Ma Qizhu a headache. Now that there was only the demonic star sect, there was nothing to be afraid of. Yi Xiaoya was very surprised after hearing this. Qi Xiangmei also hoped that at least Xiao Chen was a responsible person. In this way, Yi Xiaoya did not have to worry about being blamed at all, because from this moment on, she was Xiao Chen's woman. "Master, see, I told you." Yi Xiaoya was very happy. "Well, but I'm afraid that things are not so simple. The Quishan sect does not dare to do anything to Xiao Chen openly, but after all, Xiao Chen took their position. I'm afraid that they will secretly deal with Xiao Chen," Qi Xiangmei said with some worry. After the excitement, Yi Xiaoya remembered this important thing. Her face suddenly showed a worried look. "What should we do?" "I don't know." Qi Xiangmei smiled bitterly. "But I think Xiao Chen has a complete plan." Yi Xiaoya was relieved after hearing this. Thinking about it, it was true. Every time, Xiao Chen seemed to be confident. Because the final leader of the demonic star sect was not Ma Qingfei, but Xiao Chen, Ma Qizhu did not want to continue the event. Originally, after Ma Qingfei took office, there would be a series of measures and joint activities, but these were all cancelled by Ma Qizhu. He could not let an outsider, Xiao Chen, take advantage of him, right? He was going to let Xiao Chen exist in name only and delay the plan for a year. Anyway, 1 year was not long, so he stood up and announced. "Well, this year's Demonic Star Sect conference is over. Everyone can go back. Demonic Star Sect leader Xiao Chen, if there are any actions or orders in the future, you can coordinate with the host of the Demonic Star Sect, the Quishan sect." A cold smile flashed across Xiao Chen's lips. He also knew what was going on with the demon sect master. It would be strange if Ma Wuqiao allowed him to take over. However, he didn't want to be a sect master. His main purpose was to cause destruction. Now that he had achieved his goal, nothing else mattered. Although Xiao Chen was a well-known figure among the younger generation of the demon sect, Xiao Chen was still not a match for those old fellows. Who knew if there was an existence that surpassed the demon general? Therefore, Xiao Chen did not intend to force everyone to obey his orders at this time. That was unrealistic and impossible. Things could only be reversed when pushed to the extreme. Alright, everyone go back and rest. This sect leader doesn't have anything to ask of you for the time being. Xiao Chen waved his hand and left the stage. Everyone was very satisfied with Xiao Chen's tactfulness. If the sect master was Ma Qingting, everyone feared the Kuei Mountain sect's reputation and might have disobeyed. However, the sect master was Xiao Chen of the Devil Star sect. Why should they give him face? Therefore, it was better for Xiao Chen to know his own limits. It would save everyone from falling out with each other. Xiao Chen came to Yi Xiaoya's side and gently held Yi Xiaoya's hand, making her feel sweet in her heart. Let's go back to the inn. Xiao Chen said, Senior Qi, please. Xiao Chen, you're not bad. Qi Xiangmei was very satisfied that her disciple could follow Xiao Chen, especially, but she thought about it and said, you don't have to be so polite. Since you claim to be a disciple of the Devil Star sect, you can call me Martial Uncle. Yes, Martial Uncle. Xiao Chen did not refuse. The three of them left just like that. At least, Ma Beiki felt a little better. He was afraid that Xiao Chen would use the name of the demon sect master to criticize him. If that happened, it would be really troublesome. Since Xiao Chen had left, then so be it. The Devil Star conference ended with a strong start and a weak finish. However, everyone tactfully did not talk about it. Back at the inn, the innkeeper could not help but be stunned when he saw Xiao Chen. Did Xiao Chen escape the smiling Maithreya's pursuit? And he swaggered back. Could it be that the matter was resolved? Young hero, you're back? Are you checking out? The innkeeper smiled. No, I'll stay for a few more days, Xiao Chen said. Ah. The innkeeper was stunned, but then he said awkwardly, I'm sorry, young hero. The inn has been full these days. There are no more vacancies. When Xiao Chen and Yi Xiaoya came, not all the people of the Devil Star sect had arrived. After that, as the number of people increased, there were basically no more vacancies. Do you want to turn the world upside down? How dare you say there are no vacancies without seeing the arrival of the Devil Star sect master? Before Xiao Chen could speak, a familiar voice sounded. This surprised Xiao Chen because he was too familiar with the owner of the voice. It was the smiling Maithreya who had a grudge against him. However, Xiao Chen was also very puzzled. Why did the smiling Maithreya speak up for him? Ah. The innkeeper was stunned. He looked at Xiao Chen strangely and then looked at the smiling Maithreya. Isn't this the guy who chased after Xiao Chen? Why are the two of them together? It seems they are speaking up for Xiao Chen. However, who is the Devil Star sect master? This is the new Devil Star sect master, Xiao Chen, Hero Xiao. How dare you say there are no vacancies? The smiling Maithreya pointed at Xiao Chen and said to the innkeeper, hurry up, find 2 superior rooms. Yes. The innkeeper actually reserved superior rooms for emergencies, but he would not use them usually. Now that he heard that Xiao Chen was the Devil Star sect master, he was suddenly surprised. However, it was not appropriate to ask. He could only say, Hero Xiao, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were the Devil Star sect master. I will help you prepare them. Please come with me. Xiao Chen nodded, but he was even more puzzled. This smiling Maithreya really spoke up for me. What does he want? Following behind the shopkeeper, Xiao Chen's group went upstairs. As expected, the smiling Maithreya Buddha followed behind them. However, only the smiling Maithreya Buddha went upstairs alone. His disciple stayed downstairs. No one knew what he was up to. The innkeeper opened 2 very luxurious suites and said respectfully, Hero Xiao, please. Xiao Chen nodded. He gestured for Yi Xiaoya and Qi Xiangmei to walk into one room, and he went to the other room with the smiling Maithreya. He believed that the smiling Maithreya must have something to talk to him about. Yi Xiaoya looked at Xiao Chen with some worry, but seeing that he insisted, she did not say much and went to the next room with her master. Xiao Chen did not believe that the smiling Maithreya would dare to do anything to him in the inn. That was purely courting death. At that time, the Quishan sect would not let him go. Although Xiao Chen was not a real sect master, at least he was chosen according to the rules of the Quishan sect. After entering the room, Xiao Chen took the initiative to close the door. Then, he made a gesture to the smiling Maitreya and said lightly, "Smiling Maitreya, let's cut the crap. If you have something to say, just say it. I don't think there's any need for pleasantries between us. You threw me into the volcano, I still remember that. Hee, aren't you fine now?" The smiling Maitreya laughed, but he was puzzled. "Why didn't you die? How did you survive?" "I'm fine now because my injuries have healed and my strength has recovered. Otherwise, wouldn't I have died at the bottom of the volcano?" Xiao Chen said angrily, "Why don't you have any awareness at all? Hurry up and say it. Don't try to get close to me. It's useless." "Well, if that's the case, then I'll be honest. Xiao Chen, do you think you can do whatever you want just because you're the sect master? Are you not afraid of me?" The smiling Maitreya sneered and snorted. "Is there something wrong with you? Are your ears stuffed with chicken feathers? Can't you understand what I'm talking to you?" Xiao Chen frowned and said impatiently, "If you have nothing to say, please go back." "You." The smiling Maitreya was furious. "Do you really think that you're very bad *SS? I'm telling you, once you're out of Wutan town, I can kill you in minutes. Oh, my true strength is that of a great perfection demonic general. I'll recover soon. At that time, it's still uncertain who will be the one to die." Xiao Chen curled his lips and threatened. In any case, there was no tax on bragging. "What?" The smiling Maitreya was shocked after hearing it. If it were in the past, he definitely wouldn't believe such a shocking thing. Who would say that he was the Demon General Great Perfection at the 6th level of the Demon General Great Perfection, but he didn't dare to disbelieve Xiao Chen. In his opinion, Xiao Chen was only a demon master at the 4th or 5th level. In the blink of an eye, he became a demon general at the 6th level in less than a month. Don't say that this guy broke through within a month. The smiling Maitreya wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. There was only one possibility. Xiao Chen originally had such strength, but his strength declined for some reason and didn't recover. Xiao Chen's words just now also confirmed this point. It was because Xiao Chen recovered his strength that he could fly out of the volcano. In this way, Xiao Chen might really be the Demon General Great Perfection. "Do you have anything to say?" Xiao Chen said angrily, "I'm telling you, you either kill me now or pretend to be bad *SS in front of me. Get lost. I'll find a way to kill you later. Let's stop joking." The smiling Maitreya finally looked at Xiao Chen and coughed twice. "Xiao Chen, I admit that you may be the Demon General Great Perfection, but so what? Do you think you can fight against our entire sect alone? Obviously not, right? Our sect has a higher level existence." "Then?" asked Xiao Chen. "Then, you may run fast, but you have to consider your family, right? I've already investigated. You are from the secular Xiao family. Compared to our joyful clan, a small Xiao family, hee. The smiling Maitreya's tone was full of threat. Chapter 778. Are you done? What the hell do you want to say? Are you talking to me? Xiao Chen stood up and made a gesture to send the guest off. Please. No, you misunderstood. I'm just stating the facts. What I really want to say to you is, can you give me your flying magic weapon? Smiling Maitreya saw that Xiao Chen was really anxious, so he quickly said the purpose of this trip. He originally planned to rob the flying magic weapon with threats and promises, but seeing that Xiao Chen was so tough, and he heard that Xiao Chen was also at the level of Demon General Great Perfection, he immediately changed his strategy. Of course, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about giving it to me for free, but in exchange. Hee. Xiao Chen smiled. In the end, you still have your eyes on my magic weapon. Exactly, Xiao Chen, I don't want to rob. If you have any conditions, you can put forward them. As long as I can satisfy them, I will find a way. Smiling Maitreya said. In fact, in the final analysis, he was still threatening, but this method was more acceptable, and it also made Xiaochen look good. Sure enough, after he finished speaking, Xiaochen fell into deep thought. He seemed to be thinking about this matter. In fact, Xiaochen was also thinking about the pros and cons of this matter. To be honest, he didn't want to offend Smiling Maitreya, at least not now. He didn't dare to bet that Smiling Maitreya would really not do anything to the Xiao family. If they made a move, then Xiaochen would regret it, but this matter couldn't be completely taken advantage of by Smiling Maitreya. This flying magic treasure of mine is not something that just anyone can control. It requires a strong will. Don't think that I could control it just because I was a demon master back then. That's because I was once a demon general at the great perfection stage. That's why I found a way to control it with my will. Even after I dropped a level, I was still able to control it, Xiaochen said slowly. Oh. Of course, I understand this. The more advanced the magic weapon, the more difficult it is to control, but I am also at the level of demon general great perfection. I can do it, said Smiling Maitreya. But I'm afraid you can't, said Xiaochen. Don't worry about that. If you're willing to give it to me, I'll think of a way myself. When the Smiling Maitreya heard Xiaochen's words, it seemed that there was a way. However, Xiaochen was obviously reluctant to leave and was making the last struggle. All right, I need some medicinal herbs. If you can satisfy me, I'll trade with you. Xiaochen seemed to have made a difficult decision as he gritted his teeth and said. Oh. Tell me. The Smiling Maitreya was overjoyed. Elder Heaven Ancestor, I want to break through to the next stage of Foundation Establishment, the Golden Core stage. What herbs do I need? Xiaochen asked Elder Heaven Ancestor. The outer star ink meteorite in your hand is one of them. As for the rest, you just need to find something called the everlasting golden pill fruit, said the Elder Heaven Ancestor. I want the myriad golden dan fruit. Xiaochen said. Oh. Myriad golden pill fruit? What's that? The Smiling Maitreya was stunned as he had never heard of this medicinal herb. Xiaochen was also stunned. No way, he has never heard of the Smiling Maitreya? He was about to ask Elder Heaven Ancestor when the Elder Heaven Ancestor said, It's not that I haven't heard of it, but this thing is not called this now. There are other names. How about you describe the appearance of this medicinal herb to him? As he spoke, the Elder Heaven Ancestor described the appearance of the everlasting golden pill fruit in Xiaochen's ear, and Xiaochen repeated it to the Smiling Maitreya. This thing, isn't this the everlasting king fruit? A medicinal herb for breaking through to the demon king realm. Are you really a demon general peak? You want to break through to the demon king realm? The Smiling Maitreya suddenly looked at Xiaochen in horror. Xiaochen was also astonished. It turned out that the myriad golden pill fruit was also effective on demonic cultivators. However, he remained calm on the surface and said, That's right. What's wrong? Are you going to trade or not? Exchange, of course, exchange it. The Smiling Maitreya looked at Xiaochen strangely. Although the everlasting king fruit was rare, it was not enough to exchange for a magic weapon. Moreover, it did not mean that as long as a demon general peak ate the everlasting king fruit, they could break through. Some people ate 8 to 10 and still could not break through. Moreover, the demon king who used this medicine to assist in breaking through could easily lose his mind in the moment of advancement, so generally speaking, no one would use it unless it was a last resort. The Smiling Maitreya was also a demon general peak 10th level cultivator for many years, but he did not dare to eat the everlasting king fruit. He was also afraid of losing his mind and dying. Oh, I'm not talking about one, don't get it wrong. Seeing that this guy agreed so quickly, Xiaochen naturally began to demand an exorbitant price. Oh. Then how many do you want? The Smiling Maitreya was not angry. In his opinion, 1 for 1 was abnormal, and Xiaochen was reasonable. Otherwise, he would have thought that Xiaochen was playing with him. 5. Xiao Chen said. 5 is not that many. The smiling Maitreya said honestly, to be honest, your condition is not high. It can only be said to be an exchange. I only have 3, do you want to exchange? Can I not exchange? Xiao Chen said impatiently. It sounded as if he was admitting defeat. In fact, Xiao Chen's original intention was to exchange for 1. This was a good thing, unless he was stupid, he would not exchange. Good, straightforward. Since that's the case, let's write off all the grudges from before. The smiling Maitreya was straightforward. Seeing that Xiao Chen was so understanding, he did not want to make things difficult for him anymore. Okay, when do you want to exchange? Xiao Chen asked. This old man will call the sect and ask them to send an express delivery, said the smiling Maitreya. Xiao Chen nodded and said, okay, I have been living here. I will exchange the goods at the same time. I will not send you off. This old man can go by himself. The smiling Maitreya achieved his goal and did not stay. He got up and left Xiao Chen's room. He was very satisfied. Xiao Chen waited for the smiling Maitreya to leave and was about to contact Yi Xiaoya. He did not expect her door to open. It turned out that Yi Xiaoya had been paying attention to Xiao Chen's side. When she heard the movement at the door, she immediately came out to see. He left. Yi Xiaoya walked into Xiao Chen's room, and Qi Xiangmei followed closely. She saw that there was no figure of the smiling Maitreya in the room, and there was no trace of a fight. She could not help but be surprised and confused. He left. He came to exchange for my flying sword. Xiao Chen smiled and said, he is not here to fight. You don't have to worry. Then did you exchange with him? Asked Yi Xiaoya. Yes, there is no need to offend him. Xiao Chen said faintly, I have to change his appearance, and I also exchanged what I want. Xiao Chen, do you want to exchange for a flying magic weapon? Previously, Yi Xiaoya told Qi Xiangmei about her and Xiao Chen's previous adventures, so she naturally thought of a flying magic weapon. Yes, that's it. Xiao Chen nodded. Ah. Qi Xiangmei was shocked when she heard that. She said, Xiao Chen, this flying magic treasure is an important treasure in any martial arts sect. Why did you change it just like that? He threatened the secular Xiao family. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and said, what's more, I have a grudge against him. If I don't give him some benefits, will he let it go? The secular Xiao family? Qi Xiangmei was slightly stunned, and then said with some anger, this smiling Maitreya. He lied to you. We, the people of the martial arts world, are not allowed to intervene in the affairs of the secular world. This is the agreement with the Martial Arts World Guild. If we go to the secular world to kill people, won't it be a mess? Oh. There is such a saying. Xiao Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It seemed that he was fooled by the smiling Maitreya, but there was nothing wrong with it. Who asked him to not know? Moreover, Xiao Chen didn't feel that he was at a loss at all. The flying sword could not be used by others except him. It was a waste if he took it back. It was just a broken piece of art. It was really worth it to exchange for 3 10,000 crossing king. Yes, so you were cheated. Think of a way to refuse it. Qi Xiangmei said. No need. This flying magic weapon is not valuable. Just give it to him. Besides, I also need the things he exchanged for. Xiao Chen said indifferently. This. Well, you decide. Qi Xiangmei saw that Xiao Chen insisted, so she couldn't do anything. After all, Xiao Chen wasn't her real disciple. She could force Yi Xiaoya to do something, but she couldn't control Xiao Chen. Since Xiao Chen had already decided, and she also reminded him, then how to choose was up to Xiao Chen himself. Martial Ant, you don't have to worry. It's really not a good thing. Xiao Chen said, it's just a broken sword. Since you said so, then I won't say it. Qi Xiangmei nodded, little Yi, you stay here. I'm going back. Okay. Yi Xiaoya's face turned red. Although she was the saintess chosen by Shao Qin and could be together with Shao Qin, she was still a bit embarrassed, especially in front of her master. But seeing Qi Xiangmei's expressionless face, she felt relieved. After her master left, Yi Xiaoya said, "What did that smiling Maitreya want from you?" "He used 3 10,000 crossing king fruits to exchange for my flying sword." Shao Qin said. 10,000 crossing king fruit? That's really a good thing. But if you really want to exchange it for a flying sword, it's not worth it. Yi Xiaoya was surprised and said, "Oh right, you said that your flying sword is not valuable, what?" "This flying sword is a handicraft sword. I made it myself. It's not valuable at all. Give it to him and I'll make another one." Shao Qin took out the flying sword and handed it to Yi Xiaoya. "Then can he find out and not exchange with you?" Yi Xiaoya said. "Probably not." Shao Qin smiled and said, "Let's not care about him. Do you still want to dual cultivate? There's no spiritual energy here. How can we dual cultivate? If you want to do it, just say it. You don't have to be so dignified and add the reason of cultivation." Yi Xiaoya rolled her eyes at Shao Qin. "What nonsense. I really want to dual cultivate with you. Since you don't want it, then let's just do that." Shao Qin sighed. "Ah. Then let's dual cultivate," Yi Xiaoya quickly said. The night was uneventful. Early the next morning, there was a hurried knock on the door. Without guessing, it must be the smiling Maitreya. Chapter 779. Who is it? Are you seeking death so early in the morning? Shao Qin said impatiently. He could not even rest for a while. "Ah, young hero Shao Qin, it's me, the smiling Maitreya." Indeed, the smiling Maitreya's voice came from outside the door. "Oh, are you done?" Shao Qin walked over and opened the door. "I have never seen you so impatient. Did you bring the item?" "Yes, I brought it." The smiling Maitreya nodded quickly. He was afraid that Shao Qin would not exchange with him. He stuffed a small box into Shao Qin's hands and was about to enter the house. "Stop. My wife is sleeping inside. What are you doing?" Shao Qin stopped the smiling Maitreya. "This. Aren't you going to exchange with me? Are we not going to do it in the house?" The smiling Maitreya asked as he rubbed his hands. "Of course, we can do it anywhere. Let's go to the backyard." "There are not many people there," Shao Qin said. "All right, we will do it wherever you say." Shao Qin had already agreed to the exchange. The smiling Maitreya was afraid of complications, so he agreed to whatever Shao Qin said. He followed Shao Qin downstairs and arrived at the backyard of the inn. There was indeed no one there early in the morning. "The Flying Star Divine Sword is here. Check it." As Shao Qin spoke, he pulled out the flying sword from his waist and handed it to the smiling Maitreya. All right. The smiling Maitreya carefully received the flying sword and studied it. As for Shao Qin, he opened the wooden box and started to examine the 10,000 crossing monarch fruits. They were exactly as the elder heaven ancestor had described yesterday, giving off a fragrance and abundant spiritual energy. Shao Qin was very satisfied with the item. Now, it was up to the smiling Maitreya. However, it was about the same as the 3 joyous sect disciples. When the smiling Maitreya saw the words, "Made by the Winter Seal Handicraft Factory," on the sword hilt, he immediately flew into a rage. "Shao Qin, you lied to me. This is not a Flying Star legendary sword at all. It's obviously a piece of garbage that was bought on the street." "Why do you say that?" Shao Qin pretended to be surprised. If you don't want to exchange, then don't exchange. Is there a need to use a fake to fool me? I didn't expect the dignified demon sect master of the outer martial arts world to be a swindler." The smiling Maitreya sneered. "If you don't want to do it and want to go back on your words, just say it. Don't blame others." Shao Qin snatched the flying sword angrily, and then shoved the wooden box with the myriad monarch fruit to the smiling Maitreya. I'm leaving if you don't want it. You want to act shamelessly. Smiling Maitreya was very angry. It was obviously Xiao Chen who acted shamelessly. Why did he blame him? However, Xiao Chen ignored him and directly threw the flying sword under his feet. He stepped on it and instantly took off, flying towards the inn where Xiao Chen was. Ah! The smiling Maitreya's eyes widened. What was going on? It can't be, right? Was this really the Flying Star Sword? Why did it say, made by the Winter Seal Arts and Crafts Factory? He watched Xiao Chen use the Flying Star Sword in front of him. No matter how stupid he was, he knew that the sword was a real flying magic weapon. Xiao Chen didn't lie to him. At that moment, he understood why Xiao Chen was so angry. He took out the real thing, but he insisted that it was a fake. Wouldn't he be angry and refuse to exchange? He probably didn't want to exchange it. Thinking of this, the smiling Maitreya was very regretful. Xiao Chen could fly, but he couldn't. He could only run back to the inn quickly. He went upstairs and came to the door of Xiao Chen's room again. He carefully knocked on the door. Who is it? Xiao Chen's bored voice came from inside. Hero Xiao Chen, I'm the smiling Maitreya. Hee, I offended you just now. I shouldn't have doubted you. The smiling Maitreya smiled shamelessly. Oh, is there anything else? Let's forget about what happened just now. I want to rest, said Xiao Chen. Aren't we going to continue the exchange? The smiling Maitreya was shocked. It seemed that Xiao Chen didn't plan to exchange. That wouldn't do, so he quickly said, Xiao Chen, I was just testing you. It's not that I don't want to exchange, but I don't want to exchange now. Xiao Chen said slowly, is there anything else? This. The smiling Maitreya hated himself. Why didn't I let Xiao Chen demonstrate just now? It was a normal request to have him demonstrate, but I questioned Xiao Chen. Now, he didn't want to exchange. Are you done? Xiao Chen said impatiently. In this case, Hero Xiao Chen, can I increase the money to exchange? What else do you want? Say it. I was wrong just now. I'm very sincere. The smiling Maitreya had no choice but to say so. Increase the money? After Xiao Chen heard it, his heart moved. He just wanted to teach the smiling Maitreya a lesson. It was impossible not to exchange, so it was about time to stop. He walked over and opened the door. He said, okay, seeing that you are so sincere, I reluctantly agree, but why do you want to increase the money? You say it. When the smiling Maitreya saw Xiao Chen open the door, he suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't know what Xiao Chen was thinking. He thought that Xiao Chen didn't want to exchange just now. If that was the case, he really couldn't do anything to Xiao Chen. He was a person who cared about his face. If it was said that he took the initiative to give up the exchange, what did it have to do with Xiao Chen? At that time, he really couldn't use this as a reason to deal with Xiao Chen. Even if there were other reasons to deal with him, others would definitely think that he was taking revenge. I want Spirit Jade. Do you have it? Asked Xiao Chen. Spiritual jades, not money. After the smiling Maitreya heard it, he suddenly frowned and said, this is not easy to deal with. I have to go back and discuss it. How much spirit jade do you want? How much can you take out? Asked Xiao Chen. The smiling Maitreya was a little speechless. This was obviously asking him to state a price. It was not worthwhile for him to state a higher price. If it was less, he was afraid that Xiao Chen would not agree. He thought about it and could only say, maybe only 10 or 20 yuan. I have to discuss it with the big brother and give you an answer. I'm not in a hurry. Xiao Chen closed the door directly. The smiling Maitreya could only go back to the room where the joyous clan was. At this time, the old Taoist Dian Long and the big brother were already waiting in the room. When they saw the smiling Maitreya coming, they quickly asked, "Did you get the thing?" "AI, don't mention it." The smiling Maitreya sighed and waved his hand, looking depressed. "Why, that kid played with you, and you regret it?" The big brother's eyes were fierce, and he got up to find Xiao Chen to settle accounts. Don't think that he can go back on his words just because he is the master of the demon clan. Wait. The smiling Maitreya was shocked and quickly stopped him. "No, big brother, don't be anxious. Listen to me." "Oh. Tell me, what's going on?" the big brother asked with a gloomy face. "It's me." The smiling Maitreya said that he suspected Xiao Chen, which led to Xiao Chen not wanting to exchange. He did not dare to lie in front of the big brother, and he did not dare to add fuel to the fire. "You." The big brother did not know what to say after hearing it. After a long time, he said, "You are purely looking for trouble and asking for trouble." He wants the spiritual jade. I guess the Devil Star sect wants it to please the people in the martial arts world. Yes, so I did not dare to agree. Big brother, you see. The smiling Maitreya knew that he was in trouble, so he was careful. "Give him 20. We have already accumulated a lot. It doesn't matter if we give him 20. The big brother said helplessly, "In comparison, the flying magic treasure is more useful. I hope you don't cause unnecessary trouble." "Yes." The smiling Maitreya immediately breathed a sigh of relief and nodded. Xiao Chen did not expect the smiling Maitreya to come back immediately. Even if he used the spiritual jade to exchange, it would at least be tomorrow. Xiao Chen now had time, so he planned to study the wooden box that he took back from under the stone bed. Carefully opening the wooden box, Xiao Chen was always on guard against any strange things coming out, but obviously, there was none. In the wooden box, there was only an antique ancient sword. Eh? Xiao Chen exclaimed in surprise and asked the elder heaven ancestor, "What is this? Is it the flying sword of the cultivator who took over the body?" "It seems to be, but there is a fire attribute on it. You need to refine it yourself before you can use it." The elder heaven ancestor said, "The refining process should be more troublesome than the last time, but you are now a cultivator at the peak of the 10th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. There should be no problem. I'm going out to buy materials." Xiao Chen put away the ancient sword and said to Yi Xiaoya, "Let's go out for a while." "Oh. What for? Also, why is there a sword in your box? Do you want to turn this sword into a new flying sword?" Yi Xiaoya guessed something. "Exactly." Xiao Chen nodded. "If the old doesn't go, the new won't come." This sentence really makes sense. "What? Do you want to replace me?" Yi Xiaoya glared at Xiao Chen. "People and things are different." Xiao Chen said with a smile, "People need the old, and the new. You're quite a playboy." Yi Xiaoya got out of the bed, put on her clothes, and went out of the room with Xiao Chen. They went to the market of Wutan Town. At this moment, Wutan Town had restored the order of the past. Many of the sects that came to participate in the Demon Gate Conference had evacuated. Demonic cultivators with low cultivation could be seen on the streets. The materials that Xiao Chen needed to refine the flying sword weren't too special because the flying sword itself had already been refined. Xiao Chen only needed to refine it into something that he could use. He didn't need to refine it completely. This trip cost them tens of thousands of yuan, and even Xiao Chen found it unbelievably cheap. Yi Xiaoya, on the other hand, bought some materials to consolidate her cultivation, which were more expensive. She just casually bought a few kinds of herbs, and they cost a few million yuan. "You can get some seeds for these things. We can plant them ourselves when we go back," Xiao Chen said. "That's true. We should save whenever we can." Yi Xiaoya nodded. "But I just broke through the 3rd level of Demon Master not long ago, and you made me reach the peak last night. Although it's very cool, I have to consolidate it." Xiao Chen listened to Yi Xiaoya's words. Although he knew that she was talking about the peak of the 3rd level of Demon Master, he still felt a little awkward. "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you looking at me strangely?" Yi Xiaoye was a little uncomfortable. Chapter 780. It's nothing. Let's go back and continue our dual cultivation. Xiao Chen said. After buying things, he didn't plan to shop anymore. Still cultivating? No, I can't stand it. I'm leveling up too fast. Yi Xiaoye shook her head again and again. I haven't consolidated it yet. I'm afraid there will be problems in the future. Oh, actually, without the original environment, you won't be able to level up so fast. Yesterday, you reached the peak of the third layer because you were about to reach it. Xiao Chen said. Besides, the dual cultivation I mentioned was what we did yesterday. Yi Xiaoye was happy in her heart. She didn't show anything on the surface. In fact, she was very happy. Xiao Chen was infatuated with her, which proved that she was charming. After returning, Xiao Chen didn't really find Yi Xiaoye for dual cultivation in broad daylight. She was brewing medicine to consolidate her strength, and Xiao Chen was preparing to refine the flying sword. The two of them were busy until it was dark in the evening. Only then did they finish it. However, both of them were exhausted and fell asleep in each other's arms. The next morning, as Xiao Chen expected, there was a rush of knocking on the door. Are you done? You don't have a memory after being scolded yesterday. Xiao Chen said angrily. Hero Xiao Chen, sleeping early and getting up early is good for your health. We cultivators have to develop good habits. Smiling Maitreya laughed. Xiao Chen opened the door and saw smiling Maitreya holding the box from yesterday. There was also a bag in his hand. Obviously, it was filled with spirit jades. You brought it? That's pretty fast. Yeah, I'm exchanging things. Of course, I have to be fast. How can I let others worry about me? Smiling Maitreya said very actively. Hee. Xiao Chen smiled and didn't say anything. He just took the spirit jades and the 10,000 crossing king fruit and looked at them. He threw them in the room and didn't bring them down. Then he said, Are you sure you won't regret it this time? I'm sure. Smiling Maitreya nodded. Then let's go. Xiao Chen led the way, and smiling Maitreya followed behind. They still came to the inn's backyard yesterday. Xiao Chen pulled out the flying sword and gave it to smiling Maitreya. Look carefully. Is there any problem? I won't be responsible. Okay. The smiling Maitreya carefully received it and examined it carefully. His intuition told him that this was the flying star sword from yesterday. However, he still said cautiously, Young hero Xiao Chen, I have examined it. There is no problem with it. However, can you please test it? Okay, but can you try it? Xiao Chen caught the flying sword and casually tossed it aside. He stepped onto it and the flying sword slowly flew up. After it circled around in the air, it landed and said, Have you seen it? Watch carefully. But can I stand on it and you help me fly it? Although the smiling Maitreya felt that there should be no problem, he was still afraid that Xiao Chen might be hiding something like a small aircraft on him. Why are you so troublesome? If I'm not on it and you're the only one on it, you won't be able to control it well. You'll also waste your mental power. Xiao Chen said unwillingly. Look, hero Xiao Chen, please fulfill my wish. Otherwise, after I go back, I might not be able to figure it out. Why don't you let me enjoy it in advance? The smiling Maitreya said with a smile. Okay. Xiao Chen walked to the side unhappily and gestured for smiling Maitreya to go up. Smiling Maitreya hurriedly stood on the flying sword. Then, he felt his body become light. He flew into the air. Hey! It's really flying? Smiling Maitreya was shocked and happy. He was sure that it was real. He was afraid that Xiao Chen would make a fake to trick him. Don't move. Xiao Chen warned loudly, but just as he finished speaking, the flying sword began to sway, and the smiling Maitreya fell head first to the ground with a thud. The flying sword also slapped the back of his head with a paw sound. Ouch! Smiling Maitreya screamed. I told you not to move. I can't control it if you stand on the flying star divine sword. I'm not the one standing on it. Xiao Chen said angrily, I don't care. Go and study it yourself. Oh, it's okay. It's none of your business. Hero Xiao Chen, it's me who didn't grasp the balance. Smiling Maitreya was happy. As long as the flying star divine sword was real, everything would be fine. As for the other things, he didn't care about falling to his death. Then I'm leaving. You study it yourself. Xiao Chen was ready to turn around and leave. Have you seen it? Yes. Smiling Maitreya said quickly. Okay, goodbye. Xiao Chen left directly. The matter in Wutan town was over, and Xiao Chen had to go back to report. The purpose of destroying the Demon Gate Conference had been achieved. However, this time, when Xiao Chen went back, he didn't plan to use Yang Jiannan's identity anymore. He wanted to restore his original identity. Firstly, his contribution was enough to make up for the mistake of killing Yang Jiannan. Secondly, and most importantly, he was now a cultivator at the peak of the 10th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Although his strength seemed to be at the first or second level of the Demon General, the higher the level of the cultivator, the greater the gap between him and a cultivator. Previously, there might only be a slight difference in strength, and the level system wasn't too obvious. For example, Xiao Chen was 3, and a cultivator was 2. Then, Xiao Chen was 5, and a cultivator was 3. Xiao Chen was 7, and a cultivator was 4. This difference in magnitude wasn't very obvious at the beginning, but once it got to the later stage, it would obviously become a lot bigger. This was also why the strength that Xiao Chen displayed was similar to that of a 6th-level demon general. This kind of strength was probably the best in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Who would dare to do anything to Xiao Chen? Back in the room, Xiao Chen told Yi Xiaoya about his thoughts. Seeing that she was going to be separated from Xiao Chen again, Yi Xiaoya was a little reluctant. This was different from before. In the past, the two of them were just pure dual cultivation and had no other relationship. But now it was different. Yi Xiaoya really didn't want to be separated from Xiao Chen. Where are you going? How long will you be gone? Can you not go? I'm going to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. After that, I have to investigate my father's matter. I will come back to Soming to see you often, said Xiao Chen. Oh. Then I will go back to the sect for a while. Yi Xiaoya sighed and said, with my current strength, the effect of staying in the secular world to cultivate is already very small. If you miss me, go to the Devil Star sect to find me. Okay, no problem. Xiao Chen nodded. Then. Let's dual cultivate again. Yi Xiaoya looked at Xiao Chen. Her eyes were affectionate, blurred, and reluctant. Is it dual cultivation or something else? Xiao Chen couldn't help but smirk after listening. What do you think? Yi Xiaoya glared at Xiao Chen. There is no progress in cultivating now, idiot. That night, Xiao Chen and Yi Xiaoya said goodbye. Qi Xiangmei took her back to the Devil Star sect. Although Xiao Chen was a registered disciple of the Devil Star sect, it was a great thing for the Devil Star sect in any case. Qi Xiangmei went back to plan. Although the Quishan sect didn't want to recognize Xiao Chen as the leader of the Devil Star sect, no matter what, the leader had already been born. They couldn't deny it. Therefore, she must go back and use this matter to expand the influence of the sect. Xiao Chen didn't use the new flying sword. Firstly, the car was here. Secondly, he was afraid that someone would see it. Although he used another flying sword, it couldn't be seen clearly from afar. If the smiling Maitreya heard it, it would seem that he gave him a fake one. Even if it wasn't fake, it proved that he had a lot of such things. Then, it would be worthless. As for the 10,000 Crossing King fruit, Yi Xiaoya didn't need it, so she didn't take it. Moreover, even if it was time to break through to the Devil King, not many people would choose to eat it. Song Billion came to Wutan town with the help of the Song family. However, he was only a spectator and wasn't qualified to go on stage to challenge. In a place like this where the members of the Devil Star sect were everywhere, he didn't have the chance to cause trouble even if he wanted to. Therefore, he left after Xiao Chen won. However, he was puzzled. How was Xiao Chen so powerful? How was this possible? This guy didn't seem so powerful when he pretended to be Yang Jiannan. If he was this powerful earlier, he would have killed Yang Jiannan and wouldn't have to go against him now. As Song Billion left 2 days earlier, he arrived at the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. At the moment, Ling Tian was presiding over a meeting in the conference room. Deputy Bureau Chief Song, you mean that you tried your best, but there was no possibility of stopping it, right? Ling Tian nodded and asked after listening to Song Billion's brief report. In fact, this was also within his expectations. Destroying something was easier said than done, but it was harder than ascending to the heavens. Yes, at least I went and tried to think of a way. However, some people probably went to have fun, right? I didn't even see them, and I don't know where they went. The Devil Star conference is already over, but they didn't come back. Song Billion said sinisterly. Song Billion, what do you mean? Xia Zhili was furious. Hee, I believe everyone here can tell what I mean. Do I have to make it so obvious? Song Billion looked at Xia Zhili mockingly. Speak clearly. Don't scold me indirectly. Xia Zhili slammed the table and scolded. Alright, this is what you want me to say. Song Billion sneered. We agreed to let Yang Jiannan do this mission, but where is he? Where did he go? How do you know he didn't go? Xia Zhili asked. I went, and I didn't see him. Doesn't that mean he didn't go? Song Billion said matter-of-factly. Bullsh *T. That means Deputy Bureau Chief Yang didn't see you. Doesn't that mean you didn't go? Xia Zhili said angrily. He stared at Song Billion with his eyes wide open. What kind of bullsh *T logic is this? So, all of this is based on your imagination and guesses? I'd say you're blind. What did you say? You're the blind one. Song Billion stood up and pointed at Xia Zhili. Let me tell you, Xia Zhili. There's a limit to how much you can protect Yang Jiannan. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.